Welcome, man.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll get into some of your background, your story.
Absolutely. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Aaron Bass. I used to be a full time employee for Airsoft Junkies. Now I just help them out with ops and everything. I recently relocated from Atlanta down to Miami, so that kind of led to me like not being full time with Airsoft Junkies anymore. And then I've been getting a little bit into the scene down here, and I don't really have a big fandom, but a lot of people just know who I am, and we can transition into that later. But it's a recognizable face that a lot of people don't like to see.
Okay. Hell yeah. Yeah, I saw what was it? How did I reach out to you? I forget. Oh, you commented on somebody's
You probably saw me because
it was just a couple days ago.
uh, Mr. Off Topic, Will
That's
Bartley
what it
was
was.
having like a live with Airsoft Dad, and I had commented, and Will had mentioned how the whole Stay Toxic thing that he does, and hell yeah, hell yeah, Airsoft, and sometimes like VFA like say a lot, and like he had mentioned how I was the one who like created that.
Yeah.
So, and then like I'm sure like you saw it there, and then like it wasn't like 24 hours. Like you like DM me like saying, "Hey, like would you like to be on the podcast?" And I was like, yes, I've been watching this podcast for a while now. I would
Yeah.
love to do it."
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I was like, I'm always surprised, still surprised, when I find somebody's account, like on Instagram or X or wherever, and they're somebody that's been involved in airsoft community for a long time, and their accounts never popped up for me. It's so weird. And so when I saw yours, I was like, what the hell? Like it's weird how I miss. I'm like, how did I miss this person? You know, because I do searches randomly to so I can find more guests, for the podcast. And yours popped up. I was like, shit, yeah, dude. I saw Airsoft Junkies. We definitely hung out at some of the same spots. I've been to GTI a couple times for different events, just filming and stuff with my boys. And met Sal, met a couple of guys from Airsoft Junkies. So I was very familiar. And of course, shout out to Hell Yeah Airsoft and Mr. Off Topic. I've had those guys on numerous times. Um, yeah, me and Mr. OT got pretty close because he was a co-host for a minute when we were doing these monthly backspins, is what we called them.
Yeah.
We are doing once a month, and those are really fun. But it was really difficult to get that many people from different time zones on the same night.
No, it's like a great idea, and then like when it comes to the actual execution of that idea, it's just like you turn out it's a logistical nightmare, and like you're
there
not able to
was,
get it done.
it is, yeah. There was a lot of times we're like, all right, it's 5 minutes till we're about to start, and me and OT are ready, okay? And we start getting messages on Instagram like, oh shit, this person can't make it. Oh, this person can't make it. And it's like, I guess it's gonna be us two. What the hell are we gonna talk about? So,
Yeah, you could talk about whatever you want at that point.
yeah, we just we had talked so many times. I think I had Mr. OT on 3 or 4 times or something, before that. So
Yeah.
him and his wife actually announced their engagement on here on the
I
podcast.
I remember that. I was
Yeah,
genuinely mad at Will. Like I had texted him like saying, hey, like you're not going to give anyone a heads up. Like it's just going to be like out there for the world, and I'm
yeah,
finding out through a podcast that you are now happily engaged." And like he was like, "Oh man, like we wanted it to be a surprise, and we had met through Airsoft, so it only seemed right." And I'm like, "Hey, congratulations. It is your choice to do it however you want. Just know I'm mad about it." And
it was pretty cool. They shocked me too. I didn't know. I had no clue. They're like, we have an announcement. But I'm like, okay. And it was the first time I had met Dana, on when I had them on, and and she was like, they were both kind of sitting there like looking at each other like, are you gonna say it or am I gonna say it? And they both said it at the same time. So it was pretty cool. It's
yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
they're great people. I
Yeah.
love them to death.
Yeah. I just saw on his story he's up in Ohio. Um, my old stomping ground.
Yeah, I think he's doing the Sahil Valley or the Milsim West that is up there this
Oh, they're
weekend.
doing a Milsim West goes up to Ohio sometimes?
I think
That's
I'm
wild.
pretty certain about it because I know Combat Casual and Admin Airsoft are doing it as well, and I know Will really only travels if he's traveling for Airsoft at this point.
Oh, for sure. And he
So,
does quite a bit of events. Yeah, I didn't realize Milsim West goes all over the place, man.
oh, it's
I thought
all
they
over the
stayed
country
mostly
at
on
this
the
point.
West Coast, like towards there.
Yeah, yeah, like they recently December of 23 they had an op in Blakely, which was their insurgency, and that was the first op that Will went to for
Okay.
Milsim West, and that's where he's fallen like in love with it. And they've recently done some in North Carolina. I think they had one up in Kentucky at some point.
Yeah.
Like they really do bounce around a lot.
That's
Like
kind
they've
of
done
cool though.
Washington, like all
Changing
of
the
it.
AO. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did his first ever one was it must have been a couple years ago because the first time I had him on the podcast was probably more than it was definitely like 2 years ago. And he was talking about the first Milsim he ever went to was a Milsim West event. And he said it was a 40-hour continuous and he only lasted 9 hours. He wasn't feeling that great going in. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was like, so my goal was to always go back and do one and finish it, you know? So, and he has numerous times now.
Yeah, no, it's I've done I've done two Milsim Wests. It's not my personal forte. I'm more of I like the whole like sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah. Like two
And
hours, 3 hours
yeah, yeah,
play
and
and then
and
break
yeah,
and shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things like I completely love like how they do it, like everything from the start to the stop with live fire, like with sim rounds and like all of that stuff. It's just it's not my thing. Now,
Yeah.
if like I went with like all of my boys like from like Georgia and everything, we'd have a blast. Like I would have a blast.
Right.
But it's getting to the point where we're all getting older now that planning stuff like that almost has to be planned a year in advance.
Bro.
And like even then like with like my career and like theirs as well, like we plan it a year in advance and we tell everybody, hey, this weekend is blocked off. And then it's like a month beforehand, and like the boss or whoever is like, I got bad news for you, man. Or we're at a completely different job and we've just forgotten about it.
Uh-huh.
And like we go, oh, shoot. We look at our calendar and go, we're going to miss that one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is tough, man. It's like if this is not, I mean, it's a hobby, okay? For 99.9% of the people that play airsoft, it's a hobby. So it's not professional, it's not their job, it's not their livelihood, it's not, something that they can put that much of a priority on. Like your family, once you get married and have kids, your family, your job, like your extended family, like your parents or in-laws, like all kind of shit comes into play when you're trying to schedule a 3-day weekend to be gone. That
yeah.
might cost a pretty
Yeah.
penny or
It's
whatever
it
with
is it
travel.
is it is and was much easier when you're 12 years old and like you're like going to the local field and you like tell your mom and dad, hey, can you take me to so and so? And like they're like, all right, well, how about this? We'll take you and we'll pay for it. Like my deal when I got in, I would mow the lawn Saturday morning. And if my dad was pleased with how I mowed the lawn, he would take me to this place in Cumming, Georgia. It's closed now. If you ask anyone in Georgia, you ask all of the Junkies guys, everyone, Airsoft Depot. That's where Airsoft started for everyone,
Really?
right? Yeah,
I've
it's a
heard of it.
small it's a small place. It was behind a skating rink,
Okay.
right? Like a rollerblade rink, and it was like it was $20 for all day. It's outside. I mean, like looking back at it, I'm pretty sure like they didn't even have insurance,
Yeah.
right?
At
But
20 bucks for all day, probably not. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I would mow the lawn. And we would walk around, and like he would point at a spot, and like I'd have the weed whacker, and I'm like, what spot? Like I'd whack it up, and it's done. And he's like, all right, give me 20-25 minutes to like change and eat something, and like you pack your stuff, and like we'll head on over.
Yeah.
And then I get on over there, and and just have a good time. Like it was way easier like back then, like well before Milsim ops or like anything that I knew about,
Yeah.
you know. And then my dad would come at like 5:30. He would pick me up, ask me how the day went. I would tell him some crazy story how so and so did this on that, and he's like, "Oh wow, that's really cool." Just like not really actually listening. And then we would get home, and I would wait till Saturday morning again. And I'd wake up, I'd mow the lawn, and I would go back to Airsoft Depot.
Dude, that's crazy. So how did you find out about Airsoft Depot? How did you find out about Airsoft in the first place? What were you said you were 12? Who
I
told you about
so
it?
so I first got into Airsoft at 10.
Okay.
It was one of those things. I played Pee Wee football, and
Hmm.
one of my teammates, because I mean, like we're in like North Georgia, so everyone's like, military's badass. Like Call of Duty was at its prime back then. Like it was COD 4, like Modern Warfare had
Hmm.
just like come out, so everyone's playing that. And like my buddy turned 11, and his dad went to Walmart and got him an airsoft gun. And like all of us are like, holy cow, that's amazing. None of us had airsoft guns, so we had this great idea with no eye protection, by the way.
Right.
Of his house had a big backyard with a bunch of trees. It was practically like a forest, and his house was up on a hill. So he would stand on top, like on his balcony or like on his like back porch, and like if you remember like that episode of South Park where they're like pretending to be like Mexicans in Texas,
Okay.
right? And like they would have to like cross the border and like all of that stuff. That's what we did. We would just with no eye protection, none of us had guns, would run up this hill in the forest in the woods, and he would just full auto sit on it shooting at us. And if we
Yeah.
get hit, we would play like we're dead. And if we get up to the house, he loses, and then whoever gets up to the house first, they would be the next person to shoot.
They're the next gunner. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool as hell,
so
man.
it's the craziest thing. Like,
Yeah.
this is 9, 10, like 11 and 12-year-olds
Yeah.
getting lit up. Not a complaint in the world. No eye
No.
pro,
No.
no plate carrier, no
No.
tack vest. I mean, half of us aren't even wearing shirts because this is North Georgia, like in the summer.
Hot as
It's
shit.
hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like this wasn't some like cheap little gun. I mean, like it was a Walmart gun, but this was when Walmart had cool stuff. It's like this was still like a $200 gun, and
So
the hit
it was
shot.
still shooting pretty hard. Like you're getting welts.
Oh yeah, like it was at least like 350 FPS.
Woo,
So then
buddy.
I saw that, and I went on to airsplat.com. I bought the cheapest one they had because I didn't have any money, and then I went to Airsoft Depot maybe like a few months later with this, you know, piece of crap airsplat gun. I had painted it green, like just normal green, like not a flat green
Okay.
or like a forest green or olive drab. It was green,
Yeah.
like sports green and hot
Oh
pink,
God.
tiger stripe. I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I
You're
go
like, look what
there.
I did. It looks awesome.
Yeah. I go there, everyone gives me shit for like the first hour, and then I mean lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Like after the first hour, like everyone's like, "Oh man, dude, this gun's stupid." I'm like, "All right, yeah." I thought it was pretty cool. I thought I was the guy,
Uh-huh.
and like I walk up and I'm like, I am, like metaphor. I am the smallest sausage like in the locker room by far. But I went there, and the older guys, they always, and I say older, like they're only 2 years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Like
when
they're
you're young,
defend.
man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like when I'm young, like they're in college. Like
Yeah,
they're not
you're if
like.
you're 11 or 12, man, and there's a 20-year-old, they're old, man. They're
Well, no, like these guys
like
were
old.
like I was 11, and they're like 13 and 14.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So no one's driving to Airsoft Depot. Like everyone's parents are still dropping them off and
Right.
picking them up. But they were like defending me. Like they're like, hey, nah, like this is a cool kid. And it just and that was all she wrote.
That's
I
cool.
like I was hooked ever since. I am 26 now. Like as you can see, like I have a wall of guns. I have a closet full of gear. I have my own little like tech desk. I went all in on it. So it was probably one of the best and most cringe things I have ever done, and I continue to do with my life.
Yeah.
and
That's
and
amazing.
and like I've like all of my best friends like outside of like the sports guys like in like high school and stuff are all like airsoft guys. Like these are all guys that I could text right now, "Hey, I need you."
Mm,
And they might not hop the flight the same night, but they'll get here sooner or
the,
later.
yeah, they got your
Like
back.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, it's a tight knit group. It really is.
Yeah, no, it is one of those things like once you like I have a bad reputation personally, right? I am all over Discord, I'm all over Facebook, right? When people see my posts, they see my name, they're like, "All right, what's this dumbass talking about now?"
What? Why do you
Right?
have a bad reputation? Are you a
I
troll?
just
You troll people?
kind of. I mean,
I love
like
it.
I had coined the term "stay toxic,"
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So
right,
it's
right,
so
right.
like I would say like, hey, like I would post this on Facebook, right? On Third Coast Airsoft community, on North American Airsoft players page, like
Hmm.
whatever. I would post, hey, skip chrono, shoot hot, stay toxic,
Oh shit.
right?
Right,
Like
right.
and like keep in mind, out like I'm a junkies guy, right? So
Yeah.
like TCA, like they're like a sister company with like Airsoft
Exactly.
Junkies.
Right.
So I have admins with TCA like DMing me like, hey, try not to say something that crazy, but it's funny.
Right.
Just play with the lines because you're still technically like a representative. So like I would say stuff like that, and some people will think I'm not joking. I don't know what it is about people and Facebook, right? You can post anything and someone will believe you. Someone will
Yeah.
die on a hill for
Oh
that.
yeah.
And then, I get out to the fields, I go to the AOs, I go to the ops, and then they actually play with me and like they're like, "All right, like this dude's just fun and funny and he is a little bit stupid, but that's the whole personality."
Yeah.
Right? Like you put it all together, at least I've heard I'm not a bad guy to be around from most people. And then there's like always the few who like the way I say it, like if you take it too seriously, you're not gonna like me.
Yeah.
Like I have legit like saluted people who have their rank on, like talking like, "Oh, like I'm in the army, I know what I'm doing," and I go, "Oh," like I'm like, "Oh, like I'm sorry, Lieutenant, like I didn't know that I signed on the dotted line," and
Yeah.
a lot of them don't like that,
Sure.
and they start talking, and it gets out, but everyone's free to their own opinions, right? This is
Sure.
America, right? Like you got the wood flag behind you.
Absolutely, man.
We can say and we can believe whatever we want as long as we're not inciting anyone to do
Yeah, just
like
don't,
anything
as long as you're
stupid.
not hurting somebody, like, bro, come on. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, and like if I hurt their feelings, then I'm like, hey, like grow up. Like you're 40 years old and you're letting a 20 something hurt your feelings over a pretty stupid joke. Like,
Yeah.
come
Well, there's a
on.
common theme with most people. This is not just in airsoft, just human beings in general. Adults, teenagers, adults, whatever. Like when somebody is really like their title and their status is really important to them, typically, most of the time, they have a really low self-image, and so they're really sensitive. So they have a hard time taking that shit serious because they're like, or taking it lightly, like a joke or whatever. They don't most of the time they don't understand sarcasm because this title that they're the rank they got at the airsoft event. It's like, dude, it's a hobby. Okay, we're shooting.
Yeah,
These are toy guns. Okay,
yeah.
like calm the fuck down, bro. It's
Yeah,
okay.
like they're toy guns. Like we play army with toy guns, and there are some places like with rules where we actually have to yell bang bang.
Yeah,
There is no difference from what we do, at GTI, at Guardian Center, Milsim West. There's no difference from that to like what I said, like when I first started, just a bunch of dumb shit kids running in the backyard.
hmm,
It's
yeah,
it's the exact same thing.
same thing.
Just we were dumb enough to spend a lot of money to to do the same thing.
You're paying these events. You're paying the ticket price and the travel and all the things all your everything you're investing to get there and play is to experience this more organized big event. It's way more organized. They got all kind of shit going on that's planned, like how things are set up. Like it makes it very interesting. It's way more fun than just going in the backyard and shooting each other. That's fun at first, but do it, 50 times, you're going to be bored as fuck. Like you
Yeah.
want to try different things. That's why I love how broad the airsoft hobby is. Where you want to play speed soft, go. You want to play Milsim West. When you want to try that out, 40 hours continuous. Pretend you're in the military for 40 hours, right? Like, do that. That's hardcore. Do all these different LARP events. One of my buddies that I've had on the podcast a couple times, Chris, 6 millimeter Mandalorian, he just hosted one of his big events last weekend, actually, just a couple days ago, the Galactic Civil War. So it's a Star Wars based event, and he goes all in on this thing, man. It's like they've got little chips, little tokens that he 3D printed that he puts like this skirmish thing on. In fact, I'll give a shout out to the sponsors here, but he puts this, like, he goes all in with this thing, man. It's like they've got shops set up. It's like when you come out of on the outskirts of the AO, it's still in plain, in the playable area, but he's got these shops set up with characters there. These people that are dressed up, the shop owners, like the Star Wars characters, right? It's pretty fucking cool, man. But anyway, shout out to the sponsors of this episode, Skirmish and Jackal Tactical. Go to the links in each of the videos in the descriptions to find out more. But getting back to that, he uses, some of these events. He's not the only one. There's a bunch of them that have started picking it up, and it adds another element to the game. It adds another interesting thing to the game, which is what you're paying for. You want those experiences, like, because sometimes if you just do the same thing over and over, it gets fucking boring. So you got more gear. You got, I got a new gun. I got to try it out. It's just like a video game. Like you got to that next level. You're able to get the tokens in the game, whatever, to get this new upgrade for your gun. Now, all right, let's start the match because I want to try it out.
Yeah, no, yeah, and like you talk about like the LARP aspect, where like I said, like Airsoft Junkies and TCA are like sister companies. In December of 23, I did a op called actually like I don't even know the like the name of this op, but it was put together by Centurion Combat Solutions.
Oh, okay.
And
I've heard of them.
it's full on LARP, full
Yeah.
on LARP, right? Like where Milsim West, like you can, like you don't have to be in the LARP, like you don't have to like do like some like Russian accent and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
For this op, you had to,
Mm.
right? So like there are aspects where like you go undercover and you go into whatever city and you interact like with the civilians, and like you have to convince them that like you're selling this cover. You have to convince them to bring you in, right? So you can either try to extort them if you're in the cartel, you can convince them to pay you for protection, or you can convince them to snitch on the people who are in the cartels because you are a part of the government. And like at first, like I thought it was like stupid as hell.
Yeah.
And then I go there and I pick an accent, I stick with it, and if you drop the accent, they'll call you out on it. Like they're like, "Hey, like where'd your?" I thought like I thought like you're from like up the road. Like what? Like why are you talking like an American? Like what's going on? And
Mm.
like it got to the point where like you're doing some of the most absurd stuff to make the other people laugh.
Yeah.
Like that is like the unwritten goal. Like you make everyone around you laugh
Mm.
while like breaking character, like almost like SNL.
Right.
And
It should
and
be whoever laughs gets shot in the back.
honestly, and but like we're at the crux and at the root of it. It's no different than like playing as a kid. It evolves and it branches out. Like you said, speed soft, milsim, larping, just your everyday going, dad taking his son, all these
Mm-hmm.
branches and all these beautiful big limbs. It all still comes down to the root of this is kids playing with toy guns, yelling bang bang at each other,
Right.
right? But I absolutely love the hobby. This is one of those things that I hope one day I'm able to pass down to my kid or kids, right?
Right. And
So
it's still cool though. So I know there's a lot of people that have never played that really don't know much about airsoft, whatever, or the airsoft community and whatever, but they think, oh, it's what? That's for little kids, man. That's kind of weird, you know. But it's cool. Like you got cool looking guns that look real. You got especially these Milsims. Like you go on a helicopter, you could go on a little bird and shoot down on people. Like, come on now, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what
It's
hobby does that cool shit right there? Okay,
Yeah,
nobody.
no, yeah, it's like I also play like I play like adult league baseball, and everyone on the team gives me crap for playing airsoft, and I'm
Mm,
like, but hear me out, guys. I get to go to training centers all over the country. These are training centers where the people who do it and take photos, they have to have their faces blacked out,
hmm.
right? I get to do that. And it's the same hobby, but we play at this piece of shit county park, right? Now, if we were able to
Right.
play this game, this adult league game where no one's passing 75 like on a fastball, if we play this game in Yankee Stadium, right? In Wrigley, in Fenway, then it's like, oh, this is the big leagues, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing as being able to go to Guardian Center and GTI and arena training down in Blakely, right? You're able to actually like see like what the real guys do and how they do it. And then like you said, like you get to hop in a little bird. Like are you kidding me? That is like I try to avoid product placement. I try to avoid being this type where like I'm a representative of a company. Like I'm not like a full on like salesperson. Like if you have the chance to go to any Milsim and they have a helicopter and you can still get the ticket, if you have the money, do it.
Hmm.
You will it will not disappoint. It is I've never had anyone tell me they were disappointed in hopping in a little bird, flying around for 20 minutes, doing whatever they're doing, shooting tag-ins at people, dropping grenades, full autoing like LMGs, or just sitting there with your gun because like you have like an SMG and you just have your phone out recording it. It's a once in a lifetime experience that you have to do. So I
Yeah,
mean
and that's a good analogy too. The comparing it to like what you're doing with baseball or whatever with these guys. It is a good analogy because the equivalent of what you're doing when you go to a Milsim, right? Especially like a GTI, one of the big events that TCA puts on, like Stonebreaker. There's like 500 to 700 people at this event. Out of those, there's a large number of people in that event that are military veterans or active military, and a lot of them that are combat veterans. Okay, and you're around, so you might be maybe somebody was never in the military, but they've been playing airsoft for a couple of years. They go to this event. They're hanging out with the big leaguers, the people that have been professionally trained, been in combat. They're at this event with all these guys, right? And you're mixed in with some of these guys on their teams and stuff. So yeah, it would be like you guys on your baseball team go to the, like you said, like Yankee Stadium, but also having some of the Yankees play with you guys, right? Like
absolutely,
mixed
yeah.
in. Like that's
and
that's
and
that's
and
the
and, and,
equivalent.
and give you pointers and
Hmm.
and and do this or like I know like a lot of like veterans. I have vets and like active duty guys who are on like my team per se, and we just bullshit around, right? Like I mean, like we just run around doing stupid stuff, and it is such an awesome thing. And then and yeah, like you're just able to experience and do so much stuff with it and meet amazing people, right? Like I mean, today is, I mean, like I'm sure like you're posting this like on a later date, but today is Veterans Day,
Yep.
right? So right, like like I have a strong admiration for those who have served, those who actively serve, and
Hmm.
those who will serve, because it is it is one of the most selfless acts you could ever do, is to choose to fully dedicate your life and in some instance sacrifice your life to ensure and protect others like myself,
Mm.
someone who when it comes down to it, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Whether like people call it cowardice or just being lazy, it wasn't for me.
Now,
So
fortunately, we have
someone who's
a good enough country that you have the choice.
absolutely, and those who choose to do it are some of the best people in this population, and you get to now go and do what they do with them, or they get to kind of almost come off the clock per se, and they get to bullshit with you.
Right.
Right, like you're truly able to cater it how you want. Like you don't have to act like you're enlisted. You can,
Right.
still be like a dumb 20-year-old goofing off,
Hmm.
and you got a 40-year-old who doesn't talk about it, but he has bodies, and he's goofing off with you.
Yeah.
So it is a phenomenal thing, and like I tell everyone, like try it at least once.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
go to your local field and try it, because I've gotten multiple people hooked on it by just going, "Hey, it's dumb. I'll pay for it. Like if you think it's dumb, like I'll pay you back, man." But I think like you have nothing to do, I have nothing to do. Let's go do this together.
Yeah.
And most of the time, they text me the next day, "When are we going back?"
Yeah.
And then I have to break the news going, "Oh, I'm not going back for probably a month or 2 months." But, you know, I introduce them to everyone I know there. I
Hmm.
introduce them to the owner, to everyone. And I go, "Hey, you know them. You go on your own. Like they will welcome you as if you are actively with me, because now you're an extension of me."
Yeah.
And it's Airsoft is such a welcoming community for just about anyone and everyone,
Right.
right? So that's one of the best things about it is
Yeah, and there's a
is
lot of places online that you can join to get involved. Like there's a lot of discords that are set up with different teams in different areas. Matty Mo, the Mo Bros, they have a really good Discord that has. They're part of the Northeast Airsoft or something like that. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on Discord. There's a bunch of stuff groups on Facebook. There's a lot
yeah.
of
I
player,
mean, there's
Instagram.
it isn't hard to find. It's not like it isn't hard to get into.
Hmm.
Like it when it breaks down, it's a very small community, but it's almost like one of those things. Like it's a public park. There
Yeah,
is
right.
no single access point. You just walk in,
Yeah, right.
and you're in. That's
Yep.
it. And you get to walk and do just about whatever you want, when you want to do it, and who you want to do it with.
Yeah, I found
It's
this.
great.
Speaking of like events and stuff, the one you were talking about before. I'm going to share the screen real quick. Um, this Centurion
Yeah,
combat simulations. So they've let's see some of their events. Oh, no upcoming events.
yeah. It is. So the guy that runs it
Yeah.
does like he served 20 plus years. I mean, like this was a guy like when he was serving,
Yep.
he had to have his face blocked out.
Wow.
Right. So like he still does training, he does all this stuff. So like the schedule is very it's not set, and it's not very
Right.
predictable, but I mean it is so much fun.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I it was I've been playing Airsoft for 16 years now, right? I've been playing Airsoft to the point that Airsoft can drive, you know. That was the best weekend of Airsoft I have ever had in my life. It
That's pretty
was it
amazing.
was it was it was phenomenal.
So it looks like they did their last event was May 31st to June 2nd at GTI. That's pretty
Yep.
cool. Yeah,
Then
so
and that Blakely one, La
okay.
Selva, that was the one that I was at.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
last
so
December.
so like you have Sal, TCA Sal. He runs the Commandos, right? Freddie, right? VFA Freddie.
Yeah.
He runs Forest, right?
Oh, they were there?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
shit.
VFA's there. It's. I mean,
So I've heard it. Yeah. See, I've heard somebody mention Centurion combat simulations before.
yeah. It's
I
it's
just don't know who it
it's
was.
pretty much like it's the op where everyone who does ops goes to play,
Okay.
right? So
That's
like
cool.
it's almost like a chance for like TCA and junkies to go off the clock. Like
Gotcha.
Airsoft Junkies, like we're the vendors for this op, but it isn't like any other op. Like we will
Yeah.
be open from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. If you don't get your stuff, then the storefront's closed. Like we're off playing. Like we're off having fun, right? Like this is
Yeah,
our
that's
chance to
cool.
have fun. So, I mean, it's like it is phenomenal. And the only stinker was it was raining and the weather had gotten so bad on Sunday that play had to be canceled.
Mm,
But even with that, Friday night and Saturday was such a blast that I'd like I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. It was a phenomenal day,
that's pretty
phenomenal
cool.
2 days.
Yeah. And
But
is it continuous, or do they
it
do
it
breaks
technically
like?
is. It
Okay.
technically is. So you can choose to step off and do this and do that.
Oh,
I
okay.
know the Faris faction,
Yeah.
which is pretty much like the is like the what's like the socialist slash communist
Okay.
resistance.
Mm-hmm.
They camp, they make a G base and everything, and they do operations overnight. So
Mm,
like they're running in the woods, dropping off fake drugs to certain people, and picking up weapons weapons caches and like all the cartels are doing the same thing. The mercenary groups, they're doing like patrols. The commandos, they're doing patrols. Like
mm,
it is a very you know it's a it's a constantly evolving type thing similar to Milsim West.
yeah.
But if you're like, guys, it's 3 a.m. I'm not climbing out of bed, putting on all my kit, to go out there and play, and then to do this mission, and then to come back and like get like a 20-minute nap. Right? Like you can go, all right, you guys go without me, like I'm gonna sleep. And no one is going to think like
It,
anything less of
right.
you.
It's not an issue. Like you're able to go come and go, but the event itself is continue. It's going to continue.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
But
So you said you played baseball. Did you so you played football when you were young, and then you got into baseball. And was that
yeah.
what sport was your passion in high school and stuff?
It was baseball.
Okay,
So I was lucky to where like basically like if I went like I want to do this, like my parents like helped me do it.
sure.
Football, airsoft, baseball. I never really got into like any other sports. Past that, I played adult league soccer like with all of like my high school and like college friends as well.
Yeah.
Like I try to stay active, right? Like when I went to college as a freshman and I stopped doing all of those high school sports, like I put on the freshman 15 and then some. So I was like, I have to stay active. I have to,
Yeah.
like I have to do stuff. And around that same time was when I kind of fell out of airsoft.
Okay.
So then I did other things. I started going to the gym. Like I love like the gym and all of that stuff. And then
Hmm.
I got back into airsoft. So like I try to keep like a healthy mix, right? And like down here in Miami, down in like South Florida, I'm sorry, but it gets way too fucking hot to play airsoft, right? Like I don't care.
Yeah.
It is miserable. I
I'm trying
mean,
to think who's dude, there's a bunch of people from Florida that I've had on the podcast. There's like Admin Airsoft moved from Texas to
yep.
Florida. Uh and then Freddie's in Florida.
Freddy's in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You have a guy called Mini Dom. I highly recommend if you haven't had him on this podcast, get him on the podcast.
Awesome.
He's a phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
Mark Sarens is up in is up in the West Palm Beach area, I think, or a little bit north of that. There's a pretty
The
decently
tryhards.
sized. Yep, tryhards are down here as well. There's another team called Dade County Milsim. So like there's a lot of people down here, and then everyone agrees it just gets too hot in the summer.
Yeah.
So usually at that point, I pick something else up, which is preferably indoors.
Yeah.
And now that it's cooling off, I'm playing baseball again, right? The ops are starting to roll in. I'm going to Sirius Viking first weekend of December coming up, and then I'm doing Cassavac in January, which is in South Florida. So once it cools off, like I'll go back out there, but I'm not gonna do it in like 90 plus heat. Like no, like I would rather be caught dead than playing in that heat because I
You
will
might
die in
be.
that heat. Yeah, no, it is unbearable, and I'm closer on the physically fit side. So some of these other players, I'm like
Yeah.
you are gambling with your life right now.
Yeah, you're not making it, bro.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
making it. Like, yeah, you're not making it. Just
yeah.
go to an
It's
open play, okay? Go to
yeah,
a one day open play
yeah. It is,
because
it is, it is, it is one of those things. Cassavac, in 2023. I think it was 2023. It was in October, which is it's fall for mostly everyone else. I mean, it was unbearably hot,
yeah,
and
we
and
just
it
I mean,
was
I'm
it
in South
was
Carolina, and it's October, we still had 82. Now, I will say this, the humidity did drop a lot in October.
yeah.
September it was still kind of humid, but it was starting to get a little better. And that really does help. Like the humidity being low
The
helps a
no,
lot.
it makes a massive difference because we're like you can be in the same heat, but if it's
Hmm.
humid, it just feels it feels like it's sucking the air out of your lungs
Dude.
almost, you know,
Yeah.
and you can be out here for 5 minutes and it feels like you're an extra 50 pounds because you're covered in sweat. And sometimes it's not even sweat, it's just condensation. Right? Like you will like pull up like your plate carrier and you have a cloud in your shirt because it's so humid outside. It is
I know,
so
right?
hot. And it just
It's funny.
and it just doesn't go away. Right? The sun goes down. All right, so it's like 6 degrees cooler, but then all the bugs come out.
Not only that,
And
but the ground is so heated up. It's like all the
yeah,
humidity and all the
it gets
heat is just
muddy.
just
Like
coming up from the earth, like the grass
yeah,
and the
yeah, like it's radiating. It gets muddy. The
yeah.
All of the grass gets wet and slick because like the dew points like a 2 degree change, and
Hmm.
it's just it gets rough. It gets rough. It is an unletting heat. It is
Yeah.
unforgiving. I mean, like I am on the physically fit side, and I have to police myself. I have to go. All right, let's
Yeah.
let's sit down. Let's de-kit. Let's drink some water. Don't drink too much water too quickly, right? And just stay out of the sun for like an hour. And then I'm like, all right, I think I'm good to go. Put everything back on. It's still all wet from my sweat because nothing dries off because it's so humid. And then just go back out there for another 2 hours and then come back in and just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Hmm.
So now that's cooling off, I'm ready to get back into it. I am ready. I'm ready to bust out the babies. I'm ready to put the kit back on and shoot a lot of people.
Well, speaking of that, you want to tell us what's hanging on your wall there? Talk about
Yeah,
your
yeah,
guns here.
absolutely. Like I said, I am Airsoft Junkies. I was an AEG purist growing up, and then I played one game with a buddy's HPA. It was an F2, and that was it. I was
That
I
was
was
it. And you
converted.
said this is the way.
Yeah, I was like, man, like it's so much easier.
Yeah.
So on the top, I have this was a build that I did. It's a VFC body with a fusion engine, PDI 6.01 barrel, has a Daniel Defense MFR rail. There is no acronym for MFR, but we call it the motherfucking rail, right? Because it's just a tube.
Love it.
I have the reproduction EOTech because I'm not rich like that. I'm sorry. This is a carbon copy of a gun that I had Junkies build for me a while ago, which was like my dream gun. This was I have a big boy job. I'm gonna build what I want. So I had that. I loved it. It
Yeah.
was a Mark 18. So then I built this as a clone of it. I sold the Mark 18. I'm selling this if anyone is interested.
Oh,
I've been trying to sell it for a long time, but it is a buyer's market right now. No one, and I mean no one's buying anything. So if you want
oh,
it,
okay.
DM me. It like it's a great gun. It chops. It is a certified chopper, and it can be yours for a decent price. Second, I got the obviously Airsoft Junkies. I have the Wolverine MTW. This is actually my girlfriend's. I got my girlfriend into Airsoft, right? So
Nice.
that's her little call sign KY. The MTW is the best HPA entry gun, and as you evolve and grow up, you can upgrade it quite easily, and it can become a very expert type HPA gun. But like I got this for her because I mean it is light and it's indestructible. You could throw this on concrete and run over it with a truck. You pick it up, plug it into an air supply, it'll shoot.
Yep.
So I have
That's
that.
pretty cool. I
And
had Wolverine on.
yo, those
I had
guys
him
are
on
the
the podcast.
best.
Yeah, like a month, 2 months ago.
I
Yeah.
love them. They're they're another perfect example of great people who play airsoft.
Hmm.
This is another Wolverine type product. It's just a BCM body with a M-lock rail, but internally it has a Wolverine Inferno Gen 2, but the Article 1. So the best part about this is it comes with a Maple Leaf trigger board and an advanced FCU. So I purely bought this because you can set it on binary. This is an HPA unit that has binary.
Okay.
So if you go to a field or go to an op that allows binary, because if I'm being honest, binary shoots faster than full auto for just about any system.
That's what I've heard.
So I have this, another PDI barrel. All my guns have PDI barrels, 6.01. They are the more expensive ones, very expensive, but they just everything flies out like lasers. They are super accurate. You're able to push and hop heavier BBs. They are a pain to keep clean, but it isn't hard to keep these barrels clean at all. And then this is my most recent build. I've kind of grown tired of seeing a bunch of people play LMG roles who don't know how LMG works. I am a believer in how the Germans used MGs.
Okay.
You use the squad to maneuver the MG, not the MG to maneuver the squad. Right? So this is
Well, explain that.
this is a so like basically you see a lot of LMGs perch up in buildings and on corner and movement points where they just kind of stand there and just full auto, right? And this is airsoft too, so you have nowhere close to anywhere type of range that a real type LMG is, right? Like if I'm playing and I see a LMG like on a building, I take about 50 steps back and then I cross.
Yeah, you're like, you can't hit me, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm watching these BBs fall like 5, 6, 7 feet short.
Yeah.
And then they start arcing them, and then they're coming in like so slow, like it's almost like the Matrix.
Yeah, you can just do the Neo
Right.
thing and dodge them.
So instead, especially in airsoft with the range, 50 feet is not that far. For this on my box mag, I have it on the back side as a reminder to me. 50 feet is closer than may appear. So 50 feet's not that far. So not your point gun, but I am a firm believer in your number 2 should be an LMG, right? Just pie the corner, just shoot.
Yeah.
Everything in that distance within, outside of the 50-foot MED to probably 175 feet, it's not going to matter. With this, like I'm putting 28 rounds a second, with a box mag, 5,000 round box mag, even when you get me, right? Because I'm going to take the hit.
Sure.
Like I'm an LMG. Like I basically take the hit.
Yeah, you're
You get
attracting
me,
all the aggro.
yeah, you get me, but I dropped 5 of your guys.
Right.
So then my guys are just able to come around the corner,
Right.
prove chaos, and pick me right back up. So I built this. This is a Crytek LMG. It has Airsoft Junkies fusion engine, a Max CNC hop up PDI barrel. I've wanted a stoner my whole airsoft life, and they're just incredibly difficult to get your hands on, and they're incredibly expensive. So
Really?
I it's I mean like people who have stoner bodies are like selling the body for $800.
Get out.
Yes. So
Bro.
I was like, you know what? How about I just get a Crytek LMG and I build it to almost be a stoner. So
Yeah.
I got the Matrix stubby stock on it. I put a URGI clone 9.5-inch handguard. Crytek's already come with a pretty short outer barrel. I put this badass looking muzzle brake that looks like it can hurt you.
Mm-hmm. It's the
I
doorbuster.
Yep. I got the Hydra mount because like I do have a PVS 14, so I actually do like the hide over bore. So like I'm able to keep it,
Right.
like a little bit down, and then I have the run cam because I am a firm believer in saving the environment, but I have to film the deforestation. I have to film chopping bodies, not trees. So this is my new favorite gun. It's one of those things. I feel bad for the other guns because I have only ran this since I have built
You're
it.
hurting their feelings right now, okay?
I really am, and I'm trying not to. I try to be inclusive and make sure everyone feels loved and taken care of. But when I'm able to just me myself and I go on a field and make that big of a difference with a gun like that, it's very hard to say no. Also, the 3 guns that are mine that I have shown, the paint jobs, I did it myself.
Oh, nice.
I love painting guns. Um, if I won't paint your guns, but if anyone wants any tips, DM me. I will gladly tell you how to do it.
Say, do you have
It
like
is.
videos or anything? Or do you have a airsoft
I do not.
social? Okay.
Nope. It's just that's another reason why it's a little bit more difficult to find me because it's just me. I don't really want to have to manage all those accounts.
Yeah.
I'm an open book. Anyone and everyone is welcome to reach out. So I don't have videos, and I don't really want to make those videos and post those videos. If you ask me, I will tell you. I'll even show you how to do it.
Yeah.
But it's a more of a upon request type of deal.
Sure.
Just be just because like I try not to have all that stuff on, and then of course I have a massive gear closet that is just getting to the point where now half the stuff I don't even wear.
Yeah, it
You know,
looks a little full. It looks a little full.
it is, it
But I'm
is,
going
it
to tell you
is.
this, you have one really good picture on your Instagram. I have it pulled up. I have the picture pulled up of you. It looks like you're inside the building at GTI. And you're in your airsoft gear. You know, obviously you're at an event. Do you mind if I pull it up?
Please, please. Yeah,
So
yes,
who
yes,
took
that is.
this? I mean, this is an amazing picture, bro.
Yeah, this was at Iron Dagger 2 at GTI. You're in the control room
Hmm.
of what used to be the nuclear reactor. Um, it was me and all of the Airsoft Junkies guys. This photo was taken at like 3 a.m. So there's no one on the field at this point.
Yeah.
So one of my buddies, Maverick, who is now I think he's in Syria with the National Guard
Mm,
right now. So again, shout out to our veterans and active duty service members. But he
exactly.
took the photo and then I edited it.
It looks awesome, man.
I was able to play with the lights and the shadows a bit, and then my caption Hebrews 8:12 confess your sins so that you may be shrouded in the forgiveness of the Lord. For I will be merciful towards their in iniquities and
Iniquities.
yeah. I have a stutter, so
That's okay.
big words are hard,
Yeah, you're good, man.
and I will remember their sins for no more. I'm not super religious, but when you have a pick that just looks like that, you have to go with a badass caption, and there's nothing more badass sometimes than the Bible.
Oh,
So
dude, talk about profound. Yeah, this is a perfect quote
you know,
for that.
and then and it was
Yeah.
also raining, so the pick is perfect because like like I have like my pistol like in my lap. If I had a rifle, it in my opinion it wouldn't look as good. But because it was raining, I'm not gonna run my my $1,400 gun. Like I don't want it to get wet. And it's 3 a.m. There's no one out there playing anyways. Like we're just walking around,
Yeah.
uninterrupted. So just going out and and just having a ball.
You know what's cool about the MTWs? Shout out to Wolverine, by the way. And if Wolverine, anyone from Wolverine hears this, I'm looking for more sponsors for the podcast. So I would love to have you guys on. But anyway, MTWs, you know what you can do with them? You can walk around in the rain with them and it won't
You
hurt it.
can, you can. They
These things
are
are badass.
they are very good. Like you're able to get like water on the board and everything. It 9 times out of 10 doesn't affect them. The only recommendation I do have, once you're done, do not put it in a gun case. It'll
Nope.
rust overnight. Leave it
Clean
out.
it. Yeah.
When you get home, just get a little rag of like WD-40. Get it wet. Just rub it on everything. It lubes everything up. It keeps it pretty well protected. And if there is rust on it, WD-40 takes it off like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like
Like treat it like a real gun. Most of these guys
absolutely.
that play pretty regular, uh, every few months or whatever, they'll go to a Milsim or something. They don't take care of their guns, bro. They don't clean the barrel. They don't clean, like, you don't have to break it down like you do a real steel gun, as much. You still got to clean it though. You got to clean the
Yeah.
barrel out, clean all your stuff, like
Yeah.
wipe it down.
Like at the Junkies tent, half of the time when someone brings in a gun to us and like they're like, oh, it's super like inaccurate, or the FPS is or
Yeah.
the joules is really inconsistent, or like I'm not able to like hop anything. We look at the barrel, and 9 times out of 10, the barrel is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. They take a ramrod, put
Yep.
the cleaning pad on it, run it through a few
Yeah.
times, and
Just
they're like, oh, there you go.
yeah, like you
It's crazy.
it is as simple as you have a cordless drill. You put the ramrod on it. You get a paper towel, dip it in like mineral spirits, put it in the barrel, and just
Yeah.
and it cleans it out. It cleans it. It polishes it as well. It makes it super clean.
Looks like
And
glass in there.
it makes the biggest difference in the world. And
Yeah.
then we give it back to them, and like they're like, oh my god, this is awesome. And they're like, all right, that's $35.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point though. Do not use like gun oil or whatever to clean your barrel out because
No.
it's not shooting real bullets. So it's going to really negatively affect your
No, yeah,
BBs.
yeah.
You got to
Yeah,
keep
like,
it something like you
yeah,
said, something dry.
the only oil you should ever use on an airsoft gun is pretty much on like the retention pins and on the exterior. And that's just to protect, those aspects of it. Internally, don't know, right? The most you need is grease, specifically airsoft grease, which Airsoft Junkie sells, Tech
Mm.
T. That is all you need, right? Like we open up like a lot of these guns, and like the sector gears are all gunked up and covered in shit because
Hmm.
they put real gun lube in there.
Oh shit.
And these sector gears are moving so fast, so
Yeah.
quickly, and they have so much friction,
Hmm.
right? The purpose of gun lube is to lubricate the metal and prevent carbon from sticking to it,
Hmm.
and causing that metal to corrode and become weaker over time.
Yeah.
It's not it's not really like an actual lubricant like an oil is,
No,
or
you don't
like
have to
anything
have
like
your
that.
yeah, like a pistol or something. You don't have to have the slide lubed up. Like a gun works fine. It's not going to have metal shavings from shooting if there's no lube on the slide. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it works totally
And
fine. It's not
and like
for
if
that.
you do want to use like any type of a lube, like a microdose, like
Super small.
like
Yeah.
almost like almost like a syringe needle, and you put
Yeah,
just
right.
just a drop,
A little dropper.
like a drop on it, because like that stuff gets all in your system, and if you're running like a pistol and it gets inside of your air supply, then it can actually cause damage, right? Like
Yeah.
that stuff's built for metal. It's not built for rubber and plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So it
And
doesn't
your
keep.
buckings. Yep.
Yeah, it messes everything up, right? So the best thing is just to keep it dry clean, right? And if you want to protect the outside, you can use gun oil, you can use WD-40. But like internally, the most you need to use is Airsoft Tech T grease. Put that on your barrel, on your inner barrel in between the barrel and the bucking, and then put that on your bucking in between the bucking and the hop up unit.
Hmm.
That it mostly just it creates a lubricant to slide it on super duper easily.
Hmm.
Because if it's not lubed and you try to take it off or like put it on, like it almost never happens. And that's
It
all
could
you really
rip
need.
or it could wrinkle or something like that.
Yep, it can fold over
We
itself.
had an issue like that before when we were testing one of the guns. It was whoever put however it got put in there, when the barrel was put in with the bucking, it wasn't, it was too dry and it wrinkled the bucking. And so it wasn't making a good seal.
Yeah.
And so, it was shooting like shit. And we were like, what the hell?
Yeah,
And
like
this is
like
early on the channel. I didn't really know a whole lot. I had to, break this thing down and figure out
yeah. 90
trick.
percent of your gun performance problems are going to be compression, barrel
Mm,
bucking hop up. Right. And
okay.
that's why we always recommend, if you want to do an upgrade like that, do it all together. Right.
Gotcha.
Like for like all of our the custom builds at Airsoft Junkies, we don't charge for the bucking. The bucking's included in like all these prices because we automatically change it out. And if someone says, "Oh, well, I don't want to change out the bucking. I have a really good bucking in there," our answer is usually we have better ones.
Mm-hmm.
And like you don't want to leave like a bucking in there too long. Like every year when I do the yearly service on these guns,
Yeah.
I automatically change the bucking,
Yeah,
right?
the buckings are really thin and they're like a silicone rubber, like, kind of mix or whatever. So they're gonna dry out.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
and
dry rot, they crack, they rip.
yeah,
And by the way, they're getting used, a lot. Like
they take a beating, and
right.
they are, in my opinion, the single most important aspect of your gun's performance.
Mm,
Right? Everything else can kind of tick it up a bit, right? But if your bucking fails,
yeah.
everything you've put in that gun is putting money in a pile and lighting it on fire.
Yeah, because the
Right? And
nozzle seats up against it when it shoots, right?
yep,
Is that
right,
what's
right on the back end of it,
yeah, where
right?
that
And
seal and
then
it has to seal properly.
yep, it's everything revolves around the bucking,
Yeah.
So that's always like my like upgrade like recommendation. You don't need to change the nozzle. You don't need to change the cylinder, the piston head, the spring, the gears, anything.
Yeah.
Barrel bucking hop up, and your gun will instantly get about 20-25 extra feet of range. You will be able to hop heavier BBs.
What do you run? What do you when like when you're doing your LMG, what do you run? Point threes
So
or
so for usual like field day play, for the rifles I run 3.6s, and for the LMG I run 3.2s.
okay.
For ops for the rifles I run fours, and for the LMG usually fours as well. but sometimes 3.6s if like I know I'm going to use a lot of BBs.
Yeah.
I I'm not super worried about range. Like for HPA, if you run lighter than a 3.2, you're really doing a significant hindrance to yourself. You need to run heavier. They're built to run heavier, right? For like an HPA rifle 3.6s, that's where you're going to get your best performance. That's your
Hmm.
best range, your best grouping. It is the absolute peak of your performance. I run heavier because I like when people call their hits. And
Who doesn't, bro?
jewel creep is a thing. It exists. It is gospel,
Hmm.
right? So I know my point four is going to hurt you. And the funny thing is, they don't leave that heavy of a welt because the BB's not moving that fast.
Right.
But it's like throwing a rock at you,
Yeah, it gives
right?
you a thwap. It's like
Oh
really it thuds on your plate carrier or whatever. Like you're gonna feel it, you're gonna hear it, and most
yeah.
people around you are gonna hear it. So it's a lot
No,
harder
it's
to
it is
just
it is
ignore it.
it makes a massive difference. And and
Yeah.
and like when I run, night games and stuff, and I have my nods, and I'm able to get closer to these people, and I'm hitting them with point fours. Like there was an instance at Bone Strike, or Bone Crusher now, but it used to be Bone Strike down in
Oh yeah.
down in Milledgeville. So we're inside this prison. I am not 7 feet away from these guys, and I actually had 4.3s because I'm like, like engagement distance is closer, so I don't need to worry anywhere close to that range.
Yeah.
I'm running 4.3s. I'm hitting these guys. They're not happy. They are yelling. They are crying. Again, going back, I was a 10-year-old running shirtless with no eye pro taking
Yeah.
hits.
Right.
Wasn't crying about it then. So why are we crying
Exactly.
about it now?
Right. And you're an
And
adult, by the way. Come
yeah,
on.
and they're yelling, they're pitching fits. Like they call an admin. They're like, "There's a guy down there who's shooting hot. Chrono him. Check him now." He walks right into my room, and he's like, "Bass, they say you're shooting hot." And I'm like, "Coach, I'm running 4.3s." And he's like, "Say less." Walks out, tells them he's running 4.3s, so he's throwing rocks at you. So make sure you hit him, and just leaves.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh no, like chrono him and everything." So and this was a heated gun battle, so they didn't want to really like interrupt it by having
Sure.
chrono me. When the gun battle's over, I come to the side, and they chrono me. They put the 3.2s in, and I'm actually shooting 1.4. Right, so it's like they're like, "Oh, like this guy's well below
Yeah.
like the limit."
What was the limit?
So the TCA is always 1.55 joules
Okay.
for
Yeah.
riflemen. So I mean, it's one of those things. If I was at 1.55 with the 4.3s in there, it actually really would have hurt. And like I understand that people don't want to feel that type of pain and stuff, and that's why I don't run those heavyweight BBs at field days, right? And sometimes if like I see that there's a lot of kids on the field, I go even lower. Like there's kids, I don't even take out the LMG. I'm like, no, like that's not fun for anyone.
Right.
And then with the rifles, I go from like 3.6s to like 3.2s, or like even threes, right? So
Well, that's cool.
if it's field day, I'm not gonna like I don't try to cause anyone pain no matter what. I don't want to hurt people.
No.
I don't want to physically damage or hurt someone.
No, of course not. You
But I
just want them
know,
to call your hits.
yeah,
These
yeah,
guys
like
that wear a lot of gear, like when you go to an event, most of these guys are covered in gear, bro. Like,
yeah, and it's also like one of those things like like I wear the same gear as all these other guys. The excuse of saying, well, I didn't feel it. I'm like, come on, man. Like we all know what it sounds like.
I was gonna say, most people that I've talked with on here, they say you actually hear it more than you feel it.
Absolutely,
Like you
yeah.
can hear it for sure. Like, okay, I got hit.
The only piece of gear that I give anyone any form of leniency on is if I know I hit them in the dump pouch,
Oh,
right? Because then the noise is significantly different
sure.
because it's like a hollow object. I run a Blue Force gear dump pouch, so it's very thin. It's practically like parachute cloth.
Mm,
So it hits it. It doesn't make a sound, and
right.
it does, and it kills its all of its like inertia. So when it hits me, it like I don't feel it. So the dump pouch is the only spot that I give leniency on. If I'm
Right.
hitting you in anything else, I'm like, dude, you're at a Milsim. You should be at the level to where you know what getting hit anywhere
Yeah.
else sounds like.
Right.
Right. It is a very distinct thwack sound. You
Uh-huh.
know. So, I mean, like, I always like on the field, like I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll be like, all right, sure, like you didn't feel it, like you didn't hear it. There's a lot going on. Like like okay, I'll give you that.
So what
But
do you
this
think about the keep shooting until they call it thing?
for an op,
Yeah.
I take it a step further. If you're complaining, I'm going to shoot you because dead men don't talk.
Right?
Right?
For real,
Right?
bro.
If you're standing up, I'm going to shoot you because dead men don't stand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Take a knee, lay down,
Yep.
go ow, ow, or yell hit.
Yeah.
Right? So many times, like I shoot a guy, they're like, hit. I'm like, I can't hear you. Like, I don't know what you're saying. So I'm going to keep on hitting you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And if your buddy, if like your medic comes behind you to try to medic you, I'm gonna shoot you because you're because he's trying to get you up. The moment you
Yeah.
get back up, you're hit again.
He's hiding behind him, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're yelling, they're losing their minds, like stop shooting me, like I'm fucking hit, like
Yeah.
you asshole, like you're overshooting me. And I'm like, dude, he's behind you. You are technically in this game, you're dead. You are no different than a barrel.
Yeah.
So same as the barrel, like I'm gonna shoot you. So
Oh yeah. I love it.
I have no sympathy for people who complain about being overshot, people who act that kind of way, take a
Yeah.
hit, they stand in the doorway or they stand on the hot corner and get out of the way.
They know what
Right?
they're doing. They're being
Yeah, they
yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yep.
So I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you continue to not move, I'm gonna slowly start moving my BBs up, and I hope you have dental because
Right.
like if it's a field day, whatever. Again, field
That's
days
one of the
are
things, right, for sure. That's one of the things that I was really confused about with these guys that were, well, it was when I had Kicking Mustang on. Okay, and I followed his channel, I followed him, his Instagram and whatever, like for a while. Okay, and way before I started doing the podcast. But when I saw, and that's one of the things, right? Like shooting in the face and all this stuff, and I'm like, why aren't these guys wearing face protection? Like, if they're really worried about it, why aren't they wearing face protection? Like, either wear face protection, or you don't have to. That's fine, or don't, but don't complain.
yeah,
Like, stop
absolutely.
bitching.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like
don't try to change the game because you don't want to wear face protection. What, bro? What?
no, absolutely.
Like,
It's like
dude,
it's
they act
it's
like
like
he's the only one ever shooting people in the face. Like, don't you all get hit just randomly? Like, there's BBs flying every fucking where.
these guns, I mean, in the purest definition of accuracy, they are inaccurate. They
Right?
right? Like I can aim here
Yeah,
and you're going to take a few here,
exactly.
right? Like I run just like a neck gator. And if I know it's going to be like really close quarters, I'll run like a football
Mouth guard.
mouthpiece,
Yeah.
like with like the rim around it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get shot in the face, I'm like, hey, that's my choice.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is like even at freaking point blank range and they just come around a corner and just and like
Yeah.
they get me in the face. That is my choice.
Right.
I made the conscious decision to put, this at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that goes with anything on your body. I'm going to shoot what I see.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So if you're pointing your pistol out the window like that, I'm going to light your hand up. You choose to, peek your head like this, if I'm a good enough shot, I'm going to hit you square in the nose.
Right.
So it's it's like one of those things. Like I don't like getting shot in the face as much as anyone else, but it's my choice,
Yeah, it's your
right?
choice.
It
Exactly.
I have to suffer the consequences of that choice. And then it's also in those videos, those guys who get hit, what are they still doing? They're still standing there. Even if everyone in the world knows they got hit, even though Kicking Mustangs knows he hit this guy
Yeah.
and he called it, he didn't put his hand up. He didn't pull out a dead rag. He didn't, drop on the floor or take a knee. They're still standing there,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, it's a pretty easy shot to make at that point,
Yep.
right? So, like,
Yeah,
it
right.
sucks.
I
Taking
know
them
Freddie
sucks.
Freddie Lex was on here. He was talking about one time we were talking about this where not people not calling her hits, and he's like, people complain all the time, like, dude, you're overshooting. Well, then die better, is what he said. He's like, freaking, like you said earlier, lay on the ground and like, oh, like make it known that you're freaking hit, bro.
Yeah,
Like some people, I've
absolutely.
seen a lot of videos where some people they really don't even raise their hand; they just stand there, and I'm like, what the hell? And then they bitch about
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
somebody's
like
shooting.
there's like on my Instagram at at Bone Strike, like I'm hitting a hot corner and I have like my MP5, so I'm full autoing. And there's a guy who's on his knees who clearly is dead on the corner. So as I pie it, I just see him and like I shoot him on accident.
Yeah,
You hear me go, "Oh my god, I am so sorry." Like, "Oh dude, like I'm sorry." And he goes, "No, you're fine."
yeah.
Right? Now if he was standing up or like, not in the way that he was, he had his dead rag on his chest, like
Oh,
he
okay.
was doing everything right.
Right, right.
And
But you just turned and saw
I'm
you
just
saw a
like,
body and
yeah,
shot.
I'm
Yeah,
seeing red. I'm chopping
sure.
bodies, right? And
Yeah,
you're a body, so like I'm chopping you. I was sorry.
yeah, sure.
Now if he wasn't doing any of that stuff, but he was still dead, and like he's like, oh, like I'm already hit. Like, yeah, like at that point, like my mouth is coming out,
Like,
and
yeah, I'm not sorry, bro.
yeah, it's like you gotta like, and like TCA, it's in the rules. It is in the rules that if you get hit, like you have to take a knee at least.
Yeah.
Now, like no one ever does that half the time, but
Mm,
yeah, like if you do everything right and then I still hit you, that's my fault. I'm the asshole.
yeah,
But 9 times out of 10, they're not doing everything right, and I hit them, and then they think I'm the asshole, and then I'm
yeah.
gonna yell. I'm gonna be like, "You are, like lay down, get out of the way," right? Like if you're coming in a doorway, like if I'm coming in a doorway and I get hit, I'm scooting my ass to the nearest corner and taking a knee at least. These people will stop in the middle of the doorway and just stand there, just like a
Yeah.
parked bus. And I'm like, dude, like,
I'm gonna shoot
like,
you till you get out of the way, bro,
yeah,
or
like
fall
I'm
to the
not
ground.
sorry. I'm not sorry.
Right.
And if shooting is low and they're taking the knee on the corner, like I tell them like, hey, like you're dead. I'm on the other team, but I'm gonna move you
Yeah.
because like I tell them like, hey, this corner's about to get really hot, and you don't want to take the hit.
Right, dude.
I promise you. And they move.
Yeah.
Like getting hit's not fun, but don't complain about it because
Yeah.
that's the whole point of this sport. Like if you
That's
don't
what you
want to get
signed up
hit,
for.
yeah, like play laser tag,
Yeah.
play
No
Nerf.
shit, right?
Yeah, like Nerf is way more your speed if like you don't want the welts,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't like the welts. Like I go to work and like my arms are all welted up and I look like a meth head, right? And in my
Oh shit, I
line
didn't
of
think about that. Yeah.
and in my line of work, if I look like a meth head, my clients, the people I'm taking care of, get concerned
I'm sure.
really quickly. So
Hmm.
I have to either, like put sleeves on or I have to explain it very quickly. Hey, I promise you, like I'm not a drug addict. I just, like if I'm addicted, it's to pain, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's if you don't want this bad stuff to happen to you, like going back to like the fitness point as well, you got to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
It's it's not my responsibility to take care of you. It's your responsibility to take care of yourself. If something happens, if an incident happens to where you are unable to do so, then yes, you become reliant on those around you,
Sure.
and you hope there is a good Samaritan out there that can help you.
Have you
But
ever been
until
injured playing airsoft?
I have, I at Bone Strike in Milledgeville, I slipped and I put my knee into razor wire and I sliced my knee all the way down to the kneecap.
Woo, buddy.
You can find that photo of me with like my knee wrapped up in front of the Airsoft Junkies tent on my Instagram. So I had that happen to me. I have been running full speed, not knowing there's a step. That's on my Instagram too, where I go face first into concrete with my nods on.
Oh shit. Were
I
they fake
bust.
nods?
No, well, see that's the thing. Real nods, they actually hold up to that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, so I mean, like you can actually hear me like as I'm on the ground getting up going, "Oh." And then like I got back and like my nose is like pretty like scuffed up. My sacrificial lenses on both sides were like shattered. I've gotten hurt plenty of times.
Yeah.
That is a byproduct of this sport.
Sure.
Is or I say sport, hobby.
I
It's a
mean, it's a
hobby.
sport too.
It's a byproduct of this activity,
Right.
right? You are physically exerting yourself, and a lot of people choose to push their limits. And when you do that, sometimes you push a little too hard, and like what happened with me, you slice your knee open because of razor wire, right? Like there was a guy at at the VFA Six Flags game who I wasn't there, but he fell and he like sliced his it was either his knee or his shin to the point that it like it didn't cut an artery, but like it cut something significant, you know, and like stuff like that happens, right?
Yeah.
At Casavac, someone had a cardiac event. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's always at least one. At the Bone Strike where I sliced my knee open, a guy fell down an elevator shaft and broke his arm.
Whoa.
Yeah, these things can happen. So one,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you sign the waiver,
Yeah.
and and two,
Be aware of
hope.
your surroundings, man.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm running and I don't even see the razor wire. My knee hits like I slip and it hits the ground, and I think that I just hit my knee on the concrete really hard.
Yeah.
So I'm limping. Thankfully, TCA Sal saw this happen, and he goes, "Yo, like check your knee." And
Yeah.
I look, and I'm like, "Oh, that's my kneecap." And I'm like, "Okay, wait a minute, pause." So then
Mm-hmm.
Sal's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I sliced my knee open." And like thank God to like all of my teammates, right? Like these are guys who, like I said, like they will go anywhere in the world for me and I for them. One of them's a 68 whiskey, so he's an actual combat medic.
Okay.
So we yell at him like, "Yo, Josh, this is real world," and he, the game stops for him. He comes in, pulls out my IFAC. Guys always have an IFAC on you, and remember, your IFAC is for you. It's not for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If someone gets hurt, you use their IFAC, you use their medical supplies because their medical supplies are for them. I am allergic to amoxicillin, so
Oh, okay.
I don't have amoxicillin in my kit.
Right.
You could be allergic to latex, so you
Sure.
don't have latex gloves in your kit. Stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Pulls out my IFAC, patches up my knee. Sal's asking, "Do we
That's a
need to
pro
call?"
tip, by the way, guys. Like
Yeah,
for real. Yeah.
yeah. Like you build your IFAC to you. It is
Yeah.
me, myself, and
Individual
I
first
pack.
aid. Yeah.
Yeah, first aid kit, and Sal's like, "Hey, do we need to call blind man?" I'm like, "What am I, a pussy?" Like, no, like we're going, and people are shooting at us, like
Yeah.
like there's trees and there's shrubbery blocking their view. And like they're shooting at us, and I'm like, I'm not, I'm not a pussy. Like, wrap this shit up. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then Sal like walks over and goes, "Hey guys, just so you know, this guy sliced his knee open, so don't shoot at them." And the game was still going on, and
Sure.
and they cut open a fence and they take me out. Just coincidence that firefighters were on site. Like they're just like, hey, what's going on here? And then here comes me hobbling out of the bush
Yeah.
with my knee wrapped up.
So
And
you
like
were a
what?
pussy.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Yes,
I'm
yes,
just
yes.
kidding, dude.
I did not just rub some dirt on it, grab my gun, and get back in the fight. I had to.
I'm
I
saying
had to
that
sit
because
down.
I got your picture pulled up here on Instagram where your knees all wrapped up.
Yeah, no, it's super hard to see, but if you look at my elbow, as a joke, they gave me an IV.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah. I mean, shit happens, and I turned those pants where like they cut off like the sleeve. Now they're shorts,
Oh,
and
that's funny.
and and like I wear them to ops and everything.
Yeah.
But accidents happen all the time, and I just, I like I had like one of my buddies, like he drove me like in the truck, drove over 2 hours home. I went to the hospital, they stitched it up, and I went home and I passed out.
Right.
Right.
That's a hard
It's
spot to heal up to when you get stitches there because it's
oh it like
any kind of
yeah.
joint that
No,
that you bend, and
it
there's
like it
it's
like
thin
still
skin on your
gives me
kneecap.
yeah,
Yeah.
it still gives me problems every now and then. Like if I'm at work and I got to take a quick knee and it lines
Oh,
up wrong,
right.
like it can kind of hurt a little bit.
Uh-huh. That scar tissue. Yeah.
So, but you know, it happens. It happens. Hey, this is that that's my war
Yeah.
wound,
You're
right?
proud of it.
That's my Purple Heart story.
Like scars are cool, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Scars are great ways to tell stories. And if it's not a cool story, you can always lie about it.
How dare
You
you?
you can always
How
lie
dare
about
you?
it. But it's a great thing to do. you know
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
just like I always recommend it.
Well, I want to talk to you about I want to ask you about your sports background, the sports podcast thing because as you and I were chatting when I was inviting you on this, we kind of back and forth a little bit, and I asked you about one of the things that I try to kind of uh, I guess inform people about when I start, if I invite them on or whatever, especially if they've never been on a podcast before, is the basics, right? Like lighting, audio, like have a headset mic or earbuds or something to where I'm not going to hear my voice through your microphone, right? Coming through a laptop's real common one because the audio on this is way more important than the video. So I don't care what it looks like as much as I care how it sounds. And so I was telling you that you're like, oh yeah, I know about this, or I know how to set it up. I have I do a sports podcast. I was like, really? Which one is it? So you told me, and the reason I want to talk to you about it is because I love football. Okay, I love watching football. Now I was a baseball guy too. I played on a traveling team for 2 years when I was a teenager, and I was shortstop, batted number four, and I was one of the bigger guys on the team. You have a growth spurt when you're 13, 14, 15, whatever, and I had been playing since I was like 5 years old. Like most guys, baseball, and it was one of my passions. And I loved football as well, but baseball is just I don't know, man. It was really a lot of fun. But I taught all my kids how to play baseball, right? How to swing a bat properly with your hips, okay, like all that shit. How to slide into second where you could pop up. Um, but anyway, it was so I love talking sports with people, but a lot of airsofters don't follow sports. It's so weird to me. I'm like, man, who can I get on here to talk about football? So anyway, tell me about your podcast and how you got into that and all that stuff.
Yeah. So it is a college sports group. It's called Fifth Quarter. It is on X, and some of the guys have like Instagram pages and like Facebook pages, but it's all independent managers. So I was born and raised a Clemson fan. You can't see it, but on the other side of my laptop, I have Clemson stuff all over the wall.
I think I've
So
seen it on pictures of it on your Instagram. Well, I definitely saw you with the Clemson jersey at Death
Yeah,
Valley
yeah,
at
yeah.
the, probably the spring game or something.
I go to as many games as I can. So I run fifth quarter Clemson, and then a bunch of the other people run other accounts. But everyone has different ways of creating content, right? And it's and this is for everyone out there. You don't have to be able to do all this stuff. You don't have to be able to make videos, podcasts, or anything. What you just need to do is you need to do it enough, right? Do it every single day, right? Like if you're trying to build a following on Instagram,
Hmm.
right? Post every single day,
Yeah.
right? Even if like, man, I don't want to post today. Post every single day because you never know. One day it can click like that. But so a lot of the other guys, they do the podcasts. I I do not run my own personal podcast. I
Yeah.
used to. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly have a lot of the time to do it anymore. So, anytime, a team's playing Clemson and anything, like they're like, "Hey, like you want to be on my podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like I have nothing better to do, and I love talking football, baseball, and if it's about Clemson, I won't shut up, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's growing up, sports has always been my passion. I grew up playing football, playing baseball. I was lucky enough to be a dual sport athlete. I was a
Hmm.
dual sport varsity athlete. I I I got looked at to play, at the next level baseball, but shoulder injury, as everyone says. Oh man, I would have gone pro if
Yeah.
not for my shoulder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's what happened to me, and I just try to stay active with it, and
Did you
like
injure it playing baseball, like
I
throwing,
did
or okay?
not throwing.
Oh,
So it was actually a very unique situation. I've always kind of had like shoulder problems just because of like football and like
did you ever hurt it like lifting weights
no,
initially? Oh,
no.
okay.
I've been going to the gym and lifting weights regularly, consistently for the past 4 years. I've never hurt myself lifting weights.
Gotcha.
But I was sliding in a second, and I just the jolt
Yeah.
just caused it to pop right out.
Ooh.
And because I had no ability to do anything with my arm, I got thrown out. Coach was pissed. Like coach was like, "Come on, man! Like I told you to steal, and you get thrown out. Like this is a region game. This is important. Like what are you doing?" And like I'm hobbling back like this, like
Yeah.
and then coach is like, "Oh, okay." His arm is completely like out of the socket.
Right.
So I ended up having to have rotator cuff, AC joint, and labrum surgery. It
Oh,
completely just it blew it out.
damn.
So and this was in high school, and I was a little bit of a, you know, I made all of my mistakes in high school, so I didn't rehab it properly. I
Mm.
didn't, like I didn't do like the physical therapy homework. I didn't do any of that, so it never got back to anywhere close. And now we're almost 10 years since that injury. I'm
Yeah.
getting back into adult league, and now I'm like, oh, man, like this arm is toast.
Is it your
Like
throwing arm too?
yes,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So like I gotta, like I'm throwing better and better and better. It's just, I I I didn't do the right steps. I
Sure.
didn't take care of myself.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love sports
What what
and
position you play? Baseball.
shortstop.
Nice.
We for high school I played outfield. When I was getting looked at, it was as like a utility guy. Like I'm not as big as everyone else. I wasn't able to like hit for power or really hit for contact, but I was able to get on base a lot. I was
It's
able to
important.
steal. So like they're like, hey, like we can bring in this kid. He's not going to start, but if we need a base runner, we bring him on, and he can play just about anywhere in the field.
Yeah.
So that's what I got looked at for, and then that didn't happen. I fell out of it, and then in college I actually played 2 years of ultimate frisbee.
Really?
Yes,
Now, what
that
is
was.
ultimate frisbee?
It is. It is.
I mean, I've heard of it.
It is.
Is it like it's not the basket thing, right? You're trying
No,
to
no,
get in.
no,
Okay.
no. That's disc golf. So ultimate frisbee is kind of like football and kind of like soccer with a frisbee. So
Hmm.
you throw it at someone. You're on offense and defense. You catch it and then you come to a stop and you can't forwardly progress it. You have to forwardly progress it by throwing it. And then
Okay.
and then there's
Okay.
end zones, and if you get it in, that's a point. And
So
at
once you
and
catch it, you have to stop.
yes.
Okay. And then all you can do is throw it. Now, when you're standing there, once you catch it, are you vulnerable? Like, can somebody tackle
So
you or?
no, 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 no.
Oh,
It is
okay.
it is it is technically non-contact.
Gotcha.
Technically non-contact. I mean, if you know how to use your body and you know how to leverage people, it becomes a contact sport. And there have been plenty of times where I've gone up for a disc and I've been absolutely laid out.
Oh,
And there are
shit.
times I have laid people out, right? Like it's just one of those things. Like it's natural physics. I'm running full speed and I jump up, and
Right.
someone's standing still and they jump up. I'm going to go
I
through them.
gotcha. I gotcha.
They call foul. It's not a penalty or anything. It's just they get the disc. They're right there. It's a spot foul.
Now, let
But
me
like
ask you this. Do y'all flop like they do in soccer? Because if you do, sucks. Okay.
I know. Okay, it is self officiated. You only get refs when like you're playing like the professional, and like professionals make $80 a game. Like it's not
Yeah.
really
I
professional.
can't imagine there's a whole lot of audience for that.
There really isn't. The most
Right.
audience is every year when ESPN News or You becomes ESPN 8 the Ocho, like as the joke, and they play and they televise the game.
Okay.
So there are refs at the higher levels and for like national championship games, but it is 100% self officiated.
Okay.
If
It's
someone
like no blood,
flopped,
no foul kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
If someone flopped and they called foul, what I can do is I can say I contest it.
Hmm.
I contest.
Yeah.
And usually at that point, it's between you and them to come to an agreement. If they flopped, they're already just going to double down on it. So it's like whatever. But people will give them people like will give you crap for it.
Yeah.
And because I grew up playing football and playing baseball, you know, I was very vocal. I was a shit talker. I still am a shit talker, but
Yeah.
I was. So, and again, like I'm not the biggest guy, I'm not the, tallest guy. I was usually the fastest guy out there and the fastest mouth as well. So I'm like, you flopped.
Yeah.
How do you even need to flop?
Yeah.
Like I'm not that big. Like
Right.
what are you talking about?
Well,
So
it makes me sad to see. So one of my grandsons is he's on a soccer team. Okay, competitive, like traveling team. He's 13, 14, and he is actually my step grandson. So um, my middle son, who's actually helped start the channel, Colton, he married a lady that already had two kids, and her son uh, plays soccer on a traveling team, and it's pretty competitive. Okay, they have tournaments all the time. They're pretty. They play quite often. Well, I asked him one time, does do your guys' coach like all these different teams, whatever? Is this like something that you guys talk about? Do your coaches teach you guys or tell you to flop sometimes, like exaggerate or fall down if somebody barely touches you, kind of thing? He said, yeah, sometimes. And I feel like that's really bad because when I watch, and the reason I brought it up to him and the reason I asked him was because I never really watched soccer before. Okay. In fact, if you go back to my earlier, some of my earlier podcasts a couple years ago where I had, people on from the UK and stuff, I would talk shit to them about soccer because soccer is so, big over in other countries compared to here. And, so I started watching it because my grandson's playing. And so I started watching like the World Cup and stuff like that, right? All these big players. And I'm going, dude, now I've seen the short videos, the TikTok videos, of these clips, compilations of flopping and stuff in soccer, but I never really paid attention. I was like, I'm sure that doesn't happen that often. Then I watched some games. Like these are professionals getting paid big bucks and they pretend to be hurt. And I'm talking like flailing on the freaking ground, bro. Holding their shin like it's going to be broken in half. And then as soon as they draw the foul, they get up and start laughing. And I'm going, they should be penalized for that fucking act. Like that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it makes me sad to see that they're teaching this at a young these teenagers to do the same thing because unlike airsoft is honorable game, right? Like it's based on the honor system. Teaching you to flop is dishonorable. That's not an honorable way to play. Like you're really it's anyway,
No, it's
it
yeah,
really irritates me.
yeah. I played adult leagues. I got into soccer after high school, early into college. Like I'm from Atlanta, so
Yeah.
2017 Atlanta United became a team, and all of my friends were all big soccer fans. So
Okay.
I went in with them, and like I got into it. So we started playing adult league soccer together.
Yeah.
And these are, like I say adult league and like the legit adults, like
Sure.
grown ass, like their kids and their wives are watching them play Sunday morning after church,
Yeah.
and they're flopping,
Oh,
like, and
that's
it
so
is
sad.
like the way I was brought up, especially with football and baseball, right? It's flopping like that is just it's disrespectful to the game.
Right.
It's a lack of honor. It is disrespecting the game, disrespecting yourself, your team, your fans. I mean, every aspect that you can disrespect.
Yeah.
You can be disrespecting your God, right? It is bad. Now, are these plays fouls? Yes. Like you're not supposed to miss the ball and hit someone in the ankle or
Sure.
trip them up.
Yeah.
But like if you're rolling on the ground, like you're like your entire existence has just been put into risk, and you get up and you're perfectly fine, I think someone should put your entire existence into risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like because it then it gets to the point where someone actually does get hurt, and and fans see it, and you don't know till you know, right? Like a great way to translate it now, you love football. A lot of people love football, college football. Ole Miss, University of Mississippi, they do this thing where when the opposing team gets a first down, one of their defenders just decides to lay down, and the trainers go out, they check on them, and it's a timeout. It's a free
Mm-hmm.
timeout to give your guys a breather to look at the plays prior and make those adjustments.
Yeah.
But then it gets to a point where you're watching a game, and like I've been a victim of it. Like Clemson played Louisville 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
A Louisville player got hurt, and you see the replay. It's like this guy didn't even get touched,
Yeah.
right? And I'm tweeting about it. I'm going, what is like what? Like this guy's not even touched. Well, you know, 10 minutes later there's an ambulance on the field. And this guy's being put on a stretcher, and there are and the trainers are telling people, and the news reporter finds out that it is a head, neck, or spinal injury,
Right.
right?
I saw
And
that.
and you watch the play and you're like, what? Like
Yeah.
this guy was barely touched.
Yep.
But then that happens, and now I'm the asshole who
Because you were tweeting about it.
who posts like, oh, Clemson finally gets momentum, and there's an injury, and it's taking us 10 minutes. Like, what's going on? Well, no,
Yeah, and he's faking it. Yeah.
yeah, and it turns out that the guy had to like legit go to the hospital.
That's very unusual. Yeah. Very
So
unusual.
like you gotta it puts everything into question,
Yeah.
and
I think they made a rule on that this year. I don't know if it's just for the NFL or whatever, but
I know if it's
you
for
get
like,
charged a timeout.
yeah, I know
Your team gets
so
charged a
the
timeout
rule
if you're
is
fucking faking and shit.
if it's in the last minute of the
minutes.
game, or yeah, 2 minutes
After the 2
and
minutes,
it's
yeah.
a running, the clock is running, and
Right.
the player goes down, it's a 10-second runoff,
Right.
unless or you burn a timeout.
Mm-hmm.
But now like they want to change it to where it's like that for the whole game, and then a lot of people say like if they're hurt, they can't come back for the remainder of the series, stuff like that. For sure, like there's going to be like a rule change at least at the college level to prevent it because it has gotten very out of hand.
Yeah.
I do know like in soccer you can get like you can be given a card for fouling. It's called a card for simulation,
Mm.
but refs don't usually do it
Yeah.
unless it's like it's just terribly egregious, but like you're watching it as a fan, they're all egregious, and it's
Yeah.
just and yes, like you're teaching a 13-year-old kid playing soccer how to do this, and you're spoiling them young, so when they grow up, and let's say they get into the game of airsoft,
Hmm.
oh wait, you're telling me if I can just not call my hit
Yeah.
and like I can
Right.
keep going, right? Like I'm not gonna stand here and say I've never shrugged a hit, right? Everyone has that.
Sure.
Like if anyone tells you, I mostly believe like you're a liar.
Yeah.
Like not a bad liar. It's not like a terrible
No,
lie to
it's
say,
not. It's not
but
terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world.
no, but it's also like like there's like doing it like it's almost like one of those things where like you take the hit and you like look around. You're like, what? And like you just come to the decision like, all right, if there's a guy out there, he'll hit me again.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10 you get hit again and you're like, oh shit, like you only took an extra 2 steps and you didn't even shoot at anyone.
Right.
But then like you get to the point like you go to ops and everything and you go up against these people who it's just egregious, and a lot of the time you can translate that back to at some instance when they're younger and more impressionable
Hmm.
and they're told to do this,
Yeah.
right? Like if I saw a team, like if I had a kid who was playing 13U soccer, right? One, if my kids grow up, they're not playing football, right? I am several IQ points lower because of football. They're playing soccer and baseball, right? Right. If they want to do swimming, that's perfect,
Yeah.
right? Perfect for you. But like they're playing a team and like they're flopping, you are going to have to call someone to get me away from that coach
Oh, right.
because it's just disrespectful. It is
Yeah.
it
I'm
is
thinking like the way these guys act, and soccer specifically, but we see it in NBA as well. But the way they act, I'm thinking like don't they have self-respect? Like, where's your dignity, bro? Because you're literally like laying on the ground like, oh, fucking pussy, and in front of millions of people watching you online and on TVs, like all around the world, and you don't even care, and then you
yeah.
get up and laugh about it, like,
And then
bro,
and then like someone calls them out on it and they hop on X
hmm.
and go, "You won't say that to my face." And
Yeah,
my
I would, because
reaction
you're
is,
obviously a
yeah,
pussy,
yeah.
because I'll just barely tap you in the nose and you'll fall
You're
down and flop.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and like you're down like you can't sell to me that you're hard and you're this and you're
yeah,
that and you're acting that way like same as like in airsoft like right like you have a freaking like you have whatever rank you have on your chest because you choose to wear your rank playing airsoft and you're yelling and complaining about getting hit with a BB
yeah.
and then you come up to me like you don't know who I am, and I'm like I do know who you are. You're a pussy who can't take a hit in a BB, but think like you can take a hit from a bullet, right? Like what do you
Yeah, you're
like?
touting
Like
your
I
title
know
around,
exactly, yeah. Like I know exactly what you do. Like you sit behind a desk, right? You
right?
are you are an army accountant. Like calm down. Like
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back to work. Grab your camera because you clearly just take photos. Like that's the only thing you shoot is a camera, not a real gun. You know, like
Oh, that's funny.
it sets a very bad precedent. And yes,
Hmm.
it shows a lack of respect for yourself, for the game, for anyone and everyone. And
Yeah,
it just calls so much stuff into question. And unfortunately, where games used to be a gentleman's game and this and that, where we are it's evolving, or in this case de-evolving to
default. Yeah,
where it's just it's close to anarchy at this point. You
So let
know,
me ask you about college football. Okay, you're a Clemson fan. Uh, so Miami. So anyone, most people, I don't know who's football fans, but the college football playoffs. University of Miami was ranked number 4. Okay, going into the weekend. So Miami lost to an unranked team. They're in the ACC. Clemson won. I mean, they didn't play anyone super hard, nothing, but Clemson won. They were ranked, what were they ranked? 23? They dropped to
yeah,
23 um, because prior they had lost to an unranked team. Okay. So, because they were 11. I think they were 11 going into 2 weekends ago. They lost to an unranked team, dropped to 23. So, anyway, they're in the ACC as well. Apparently, I didn't know this actually until my brother in law was telling me, but with the new college football playoff rules, okay, the bracket is what, 12 teams now instead of 4? If you win your title, your division championship, so for example, if Clemson makes it to the ACC championship, which they probably will, and they win, that's an automatic entry into the bracket, the playoff bracket. So, what are your thoughts on? Do you think they'll make it? What's going on in there?
I've it's so Clemson is 7-2 now. We opened up the season, lost to UGA, consensus number one team in the country. Yeah, we were going to lose.
Sure,
The loss to Louisville was terrible.
right.
I was like on X. I was pitching a fit.
I'm
I
sure.
was I was I, I was
Which also played into you going with when the dude got, was looked like it was
yes,
faking.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. Like I'm like
I saw
yeah,
that play. I watched
like
that
we're
whole game.
finally
I
moving
felt the
forward,
same
you
way.
know.
I felt the same way. I was like, what
But
the hell? He's definitely faking it. Okay. And
yeah,
then they brought the ambulance out. I was like, holy shit. Okay.
yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
But we're we need help to make the ACC championship. So SMU's undefeated. They play nobody in conference, so they're probably going to make the ACC championship. Because we lost to Louisville and because Miami beat Louisville, Miami holds the one loss tiebreaker over us. So Miami needs to lose another game for us to make the ACC championship.
Ooh, shit.
So there is like Clemson losing to Louisville was very significant. Like it
Right.
wasn't like, oh, like you just lose a game. Like no, like we lose a game that probably completely eliminates us from the playoff bracket.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of external help that Clemson would need to make the ACC championship and then possibly make the playoff.
Right. Okay.
Where I'm
Okay.
at right now, I'm hopeful for it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't expect it.
I
I
gotcha.
mean, it's one of those things where, you know, Miami has been playing with their food for 3 quarters, and then they would end up beating whichever team that they were losing to at some point in the game.
Yeah.
But then versus Georgia Tech, they weren't actually able to get it back together. So they lost. A good team, a team that Miami thinks they are, and the national media thinks they are,
Mm-hmm.
should respond and should respond emphatically.
Yeah.
That means beating Wake Forest this weekend and beating Syracuse next weekend. My only hope is they lose one of those 2 games, which which it's one of those things I I don't see happening. I hate Miami. I live in Miami. I hate Miami.
What
I
took you there? Your job?
job,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
But I hate them. I will. I mean, I go after Miami fans,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm like, dude, like, do you go to the games? They're like, no, I don't. And I'm like, exactly, because you only have 12 people going to the games. You're undefeated, and your stadium's half empty, right? Like, what are you talking about, right? They're like, well, like you don't know. And I'm like, I do know. I live in Miami.
They dropped to number 12 now, by the way.
Yeah,
I got ESPN pulled up right now. I'm looking at their the
and
ACC
I
ranks.
think the college football playoff ranking will probably still have them in like around the top 10, just because like they like they do that. It's like whatever, but
Yeah, SMU's 14, Clemson moved up to 17, and then Miami's
so
12.
like
Yeah.
we have a chance, but I'm not super leaning on it. We play Pitt, who lost this week. They were undefeated, and now they've lost back-to-back games, so they're no
Yep.
longer ranked. We play the Citadel. They thank them for their service, right?
Sure.
The military academy, right? Like keep in mind, like students at the Citadel, like they started the Civil War, so like they can put up a fight. But
Well, look, if we talk shit about their football team, that's not disrespecting veterans, okay? Their
yeah,
football team can piss
because
off.
well, like because they're still cadets. I mean, like you could say that they don't apply yet.
Yeah,
But
they don't apply. No, they're
and then like
yeah,
our toughest games versus South Carolina, who has really good wins.
they do actually.
They just beat Texas A&M, but I don't think the playoff committee is going to see them as a good enough team to where if we beat them, that it's going to like elevate us up. So like
Right.
I don't expect it.
No, I mean they're not ranked. They're yeah. And
So
they've looked good. There's last weekend they looked really good. South Carolina, but
I think of the last three games, they are very much going to be the best team we play. I think they're a better team than Louisville, so we
hmm
really you know, need to focus up, barrel down and get the win because I mean, a lot of people outside of the rivalry don't actually understand how much of a hated rivalry Clemson and South Carolina
oh
is.
dude, big time. I
Right?
mean
I
I
mean,
live in South Carolina for the last 20 years
no,
and
it's
I've worked with it in a bunch of different places and it's the biggest rivalry I've seen. It's like Ohio State and Michigan,
yeah, yeah,
It really is.
like and I'm not going to get into the background, but like if you look into the background of Clemson versus South Carolina, you find some crazy stuff that has happened. I mean, like to shorten it up, a living animal was murdered in front of the stadium. There was a riot to the point that bayonets were drawn,
Damn, bro.
and even the New York Mafia got involved at one point.
Bro, what?
It is crazy. It is since died down since then. Like those were unruly times.
Oh yeah.
Now it's just
We're more civilized.
now it's just South Carolina students like to throw batteries at players,
Yeah, right.
but
That's pretty crazy.
it's a lot, and like just like in general, like like talking sports, talking hobbies, talking everything.
hmm
When you find someone who's passionate about something, they
About
will
something.
you you know the
It's fun to talk
like
to
they'll
them
do
about it
crazy, yeah, like
or
they'll do
listen.
crazy things about it,
Yeah.
and it can be a
Well,
a
that's true
phenomenal
too.
conversation.
Yeah, conversation and yeah, when it gets when people get I mean people do get crazy about sports, bro. Their sports teams,
Yeah.
they get nuts. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and like because of work, because I got I left Atlanta for Miami. Atlanta's 2 hours away from Clemson. I went to games every weekend,
yeah,
but now that I'm down in Miami for work, well, that's
it's a
right. Like
long drive, bro.
that's at least I'm not driving that for any game. Like you can screw off. I drive a 2007 Tacoma. I'm not driving that thing from Miami like up to Clemson. It'll make it. I know it'll make it. It's a
Right.
Toyota, but
Right.
I'm not. But I just don't want to.
Sure.
So like I got to hop a flight. I need someone to pick me up from the airport,
hmm
and then
You
I
better
got to
Uber,
ride.
bitch.
I, I mean, no,
You
I'll
got a
take an
big boy
$8
job
Uber.
now, okay? You can pay for that shit.
I,
Go to your
I
Clemson
do.
games.
I do. I've been able to purchase some beautiful babies
Right.
because of my job. I've been able to now afford to live on my own with my girlfriend because of my job. So, I can't hate on it too much. I
What
can't.
kind of work you do?
So, I am a first mate on a private yacht.
Damn. That's
Yep.
unusual. How did that happen?
It is a prime example of who you know, not what you know.
Oh, I mean that's most every job ever.
Yeah. So
Really is.
my father is at an elevated position in his work, and he to the point where if the company does really well, he gets a bonus.
Yeah.
The company did not do really well, but it was very obvious that him and his department were absolutely on it.
Okay.
Right. So like his boss was like, dude, I mean, we would have been up shit's creek if not for you.
Yeah.
So he let us use his boat.
That's cool.
So we went out there, we went to the Bahamas, and I was raised on a lake, so I've loved boats my entire life. Where everyone else is drinking and having fun, I'm like following the captain around like a puppy.
Hmm.
Like I'm looking at the engine room, I'm checking the jet,
Oh,
like I'm
okay.
looking at all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're all at dinner, and we're talking to the captain, we're talking to the other crew member, and then the captain just mentions like, have you considered this for work? And I'm like, not at all. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean consider this for work? Like, it's a boat.
Yeah.
And then he he actually switches chairs with my mother, and he told me everything.
Hmm.
Like he's like, hey, this is like I actually think like this is something that you would get into. Like you already knew everything on the boat.
Yeah.
You already have a background, and
Hmm.
you're able to, like at least
And you were
from
showing interest, so
yeah. And so he pretty much like gave me the roadmap, told me what I needed to do. At that point, like now dinner's over, and I'm telling my dad, and I'm drunk. I'm like, oh man, I'm dropping out. Like cheers. Like I'm done with school. I finished 2 years early, and he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, like I'm not like I don't care if like you think like you found like your future. Like you need to at least like finish school.
yeah.
So I got my degree from Kennesaw State in journalism, and then once I got that, I'm like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I moved down to Miami. I did all my schooling. I was fortunate enough to find a job fairly early. Like for a lot of people, it takes several months to do it. It only took
Sure.
me like 2 or 3,
Okay.
and that's been all she's wrote. And 3 years later, I now have a captain's license. I have a U.S. Coast Guard endorsement. I'm putting together my application packet to upgrade my license to a better, more appropriate license for this type of work,
Hmm.
and just getting to do that. So the easiest way to describe it is if you or anyone watches Below Deck. That's the drama's not as bad, but it's a pretty accurate representation of the work that we do. you
Oh, okay.
know
I'll have to check it out. I've never watched it. It
it
sounds
is
familiar.
it's a show. I
It's
don't know
not a
about
reality
you.
show, is it?
It
Or
is. It is. It
oh,
is. It
okay.
is a show your wife will love.
Okay.
She will love it.
I don't know. She doesn't
My
like the
girlfriend.
reality ones too much, but
Oh,
she
this
might.
is
She might.
this is different. This,
Okay.
this isn't like Real Housewives.
Yeah, she
This
doesn't
isn't
like that
like
kind of
stupid
stuff.
stuff like, oh my
Okay.
god, you
Okay.
I don't like this type of wine.
Yeah, right.
It's it's very in depth. Like you have like
Okay.
crew members like hooking up with each other,
Yeah.
like fighting, and guests who come on the boat who are absolutely trash human beings who are like millionaires.
I would
And
imagine.
it is a lot.
There's a
Thankfully,
reason that rich people in history, like, were always made fun of by the common folk because they treated people like shit most of the time, you
yeah.
know? I
And
mean, a lot of rich people did.
yeah, and
Not all of them.
like the interesting thing is the people who can afford to own these type of boats. So the boat that I work on is 116 feet. It weighs 248 tons. It's a big bitch.
Yeah.
Now, when you actually think about it, there are boats that go up to 500 feet long,
Right.
and weigh almost 100,000 tons.
What kind
Right.
of like what model, like what kind of boat is it and model? Could I look
It
it up and
is.
see a picture
Yeah.
of
Actually,
that
you
type?
can. Actually, the plus side about the job that I have is because we charter the boat out. I can give you the boat's name.
Oh,
It is called Motor Yacht. So if you search M/Y Rylax, Rylax, you will
M
actually
forward slash Y.
Y. Yeah, for like motor yacht.
Motor yacht, then what?
Rylax, Rylax. And then you will go to a website called Northrop and Johnson. It's usually the first link. You you can
The
see photos of the boat and everything.
Bahama motor yachts. Rylax 116 foot. Azim, what do you call it? Azimuth?
Yeah. So like you can see photos of
Whoa.
it. Like you can see how much it costs to charter it.
This thing is beautiful. Is this it?
Yes, sir.
Dude, I mean, yachts are pretty anyway, I'm sure, but I've never been on one. I'm sure most
I
people
mean,
haven't, I guess.
it's a super exclusive thing, and
Yeah,
it's pretty hard to and terrible to say out loud, but like I would recommend it. you know,
right.
yeah, but it's no,
You
it's
got
I
that
mean,
Andrew Tate lifestyle being on this thing.
uh, Andrew Tate can't afford this,
Come on.
or he could afford to charter it, but not own one. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's getting there. He's getting there.
so this boat costs about half a million a year to just to just own, to
Yeah,
maintain,
maintain and
to store it, to
right.
fix it. I mean, like keep in mind, like he's paying my full time salary, the captain, the stewardess, and then the chief engineer. He's paying
Sure.
four people full time, lucrative salaries
Yep.
to make sure that everything on this boat works and works properly.
Yeah, and it's clean and yeah, functional and nice
Yeah.
and ready to go
Yep.
at
The
whenever.
nicer and the cleaner the boat is, the more you can charter it for.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean,
it's
this thing's beautiful.
yeah. And hey, I don't know if you have the money, but it is listed for sale. All boats are listed for sale, but it
Sure,
is
man.
listed for sale.
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
um,
it's only $110,000 a week. Okay.
that's
Come on, airsofters, let's go. We can rent this thing out.
yeah. Just hey. All you need is 12 of your closest friends and family to pitch in $10,000 each, and
Can
you
we
can.
rent it and play airsoft on it like in that map in Call of
Oh,
Duty?
absolutely fucking not. No, the amount of the amount of
Fucking
work
buzzkill, man. Come
the amount
on.
of work I spend to make sure the fiberglass, the teak, all of it is in perfect, clean condition. If
Yeah.
I had a bunch of airsofters, right? Like, how about this? You can play airsoft with little Orbeez guns, right? Those little like
Oh, the
gel
Orbeez. Yeah,
blasters,
yeah.
like gel
The
blasters.
gel
Absolutely,
blasters.
right? Like I will,
Like they have to use in Australia.
yeah, like you can 100% do that. But if you bring a real airsoft gun on this boat, I'm throwing you overboard. Right? Like you're walking the plank on it. It's but
This is pretty cool, man. I mean,
yeah.
I've never known anyone that works on a boat. I
No,
mean, outside of the military, Coast
yeah,
Guard or Navy,
it
but
is it is a very it is a industry and a career option that 99% of people would never even think of.
yeah,
But I mean it's awesome. I love it. I've been able to go to the Bahamas multiple times.
yeah.
Right? Like the easiest way to put it is before I got into this industry, my passport had one stamp on it. Now it's about halfway full.
That's pretty
Right?
cool.
I'm able to travel just about from here all the way down to the South Caribbean. On someone else's dime while they're paying me a nickel.
Yeah.
Right? It is a lot of fun. And
Well, it's
and
like
and
the military. You're getting paid to travel,
yeah,
like
yeah. And
you're just going to a
it
lot better
is
places.
it is very, detail focused. It is not for everyone. You
Well,
have to
no,
be
you're in the
able to.
service industry. I mean,
Yes,
it's for sure.
this is the service
It's the
industry.
high
So,
end service industry
right.
where your guests are extremely rich, maybe extremely picky sometimes.
Yeah, they
So you
they
never know.
and with anyone, you're paying $120,000 for 7 days. You have expectations,
Absolutely. I mean,
and
and to be fair, the pickiness stuff that happens in not even that high end restaurants. Like
Yeah.
I have
No,
friends that,
I've like I've
chefs
gotten
and cooks in high end restaurants, and they, you know, sometimes they get treated like shit.
yeah, I have
The customer.
I've gotten like I have way more crazy stories just as a server in Atlanta than I do on this boat.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like they like they have these expectations and they are picky and they want stuff done a certain way. Once you know how to do it and meet those expectations, it
It's
I
easy.
mean, it's super easy.
Yeah.
And 95 out of 100 people are, I mean, like yeah, like they're, like they're rich to the point that I can only dream of making that kind of money, but they are, like they're not those bad people.
They're not inhuman. Like
Yeah,
they're
they
normal
are.
dudes,
A lot of
normal
them
people.
are a lot of them are very nice,
Hmm.
right? These are people who either if they had to make the money themselves, they know how hard it is to work.
Exactly.
And if they've had this money for a while, most of the time they've been taught, how to treat those who are serving you, right?
Right.
Right, like they've been taught like a certain way.
Sure.
Every now and then, I would say athletes, relatives of athletes, they're the ones who are very difficult to work with,
Interesting.
you know. And anyone who is significantly focused in social media, they
Hmm.
become very difficult to work with. But that only like applies to a small fraction of it.
Sure.
Everyone else is very very nice people. I mean, some of the like I would say the two nicest people in the world was the family I worked with prior to this boat. I mean, they paid for me to leave Saint Martin, which is in the Caribbean, to fly to Atlanta for a week because I felt homesick,
Oh wow.
right? And it was one of those things where like I had like mentioned it to them.
Hmm.
Like I'm just talking with them, like they were very approachable, like they love to have like conversation with anyone.
Yeah.
So it's just dinner, and I'm pouring them wine, and like they're just asking me questions, and
Sure.
and it's almost like one of those things. I let it slip.
Oh,
I let it
gotcha. Yeah.
slip,
Yeah.
like like oh, like how are you doing? And I'm like, oh no, like like I'm doing good. Obviously, like like I sleep 30 feet away from you, right? And like we're in the Caribbean, like this is beautiful, like this is awesome,
Right.
and the boss, like he asked me like like how are you feeling, like like personally with this and with that, and I let it slip, and I'm like, I unfortunately I missed my best friend's wedding.
Oh,
And like he was like, oh, like like
well, that's kind of a
when
big deal. Yeah.
well, it was last minute. Like he called me on Tuesday saying, hey, I'm getting married on Friday,
What,
right?
bro? Come on.
He's in the
Oh,
army,
okay.
so like he
Okay.
was like,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
so like it
Yeah.
wasn't, like yeah, if
Okay.
he had planned it out, I'm not missing it.
Right. Right.
But like I let it slip, and like he was like, oh, like how does that make you feel? And I'm like, like I feel like a bad friend
Yeah.
because like he understands my work, and I'm sure he doesn't think anything of it, right? Like I told him like do you want me to fly up? Like I'm like I will, like I'll quit this job if I have to. Like I'll be there. He's like, no, 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 like don't worry about it. Like it's gonna be very small. Like you're not gonna miss anything. It's just like we're just doing it because we have to do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. But then, a few days later, like the boss like walks up to me and he's like, hey, like you missed your best friend's wedding and you've done an amazing job here. I've spoken with the captain. Uh, get with him, and we're gonna set it up to where like you can go home and you can see him, you can see your family,
Hmm.
and then you can come back regrouped and recouped, and we're going to attack the rest of the season. And I was like, no, 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 like I can't do that. They're like, we're your boss. Like we're telling you.
Yeah.
So there are some great people.
That's pretty cool, man.
I mean, like when you have that type of money, and you apply it in that aspect, it makes it easier for me to grab you like a glass of wine. Absolutely.
For sure, man. Yeah.
You know,
Mhm. Yep.
but
That's pretty cool, though. So
Yeah,
you've
and
been doing
then
this for 3 years, and you are moving up, I
yeah,
guess. Like what do you have to take tests or something to get like a certain license? Like what do you have
yeah.
to?
So
What
right
kind of stuff do you have
now
to know?
I have my 100 ton, so I can captain slash master any vessel up to it's weird. The math makes no sense. Up to 150 tons.
But it's called 100 ton. 100 ton.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So I can do that. I had to take a 2 week course. That cost me about $2,000. And then I had to get all the materials and all that stuff. Luckily, at the school that I did it at, that 2,000 covered everything. And then I had to take a U.S. Coast Guard test. So once I did that, I passed, and that's just to like that's the class to say I have the knowledge to get the license. I still have to submit my application,
Okay.
and I have to provide sea time, which is like the same as like pilot hours,
Mm-hmm.
except instead of hours, it's days.
Gotcha.
So I send that in. I wait because it's U.S. Coast Guard. It is federal bureaucracy. I had to wait 3 months,
Mm.
and then I get it back in the mail, and I have the license.
Okay.
So then the next stop from 100 is my 200 ton, where I qualify to operate a vessel up to 250 tons, even though
Okay.
it's called the 200 ton.
Well, it's within 200, not yet 300. I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like the
Yeah.
idea, and also a lot of manufacturers the way these boats is different across the world.
Oh,
So you have your net weight, which some manufacturers use, which is the genuine weight of the vessel,
mm-hmm.
and then you have the gross weight, which is some form of a formula that I don't know, which is the overall volume of the boat.
Hmm.
So it's like a lot of people like do it differently. So like that's why there's a lot of leeway with like the licenses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then and then after 200 it's 500. At 500, that's where I have to do a 1 week course for celestial bodies. I have to be able to figure out where I am on a map
By the stars.
down to the coordinate point
Mm-hmm.
from the stars.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm super scared about that. For my 100 ton, it was just overall basic rules of the road.
Sure.
I had to do a very basic meteorology course and test.
Okay.
Basically, like, oh, what do you do if like the barometer drops 20 points in 10 minutes? The
Mm.
answer: get the hell out of there, right?
Ah, okay.
And then also like I have to be able to calculate like what's called set and drift. So like if the current is moving at this direction at this speed, how many compass points do I have to deviate my course to
To
arrive
stay
to?
on.
Yeah, like it's almost like it's like crab walking. Like the bow's facing this way, but I'm going this way,
Yeah. It's
right?
like strafing. It's like a airplane when they have
Hmm.
crosswind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They've got to
So
adjust for that. Yep.
so that was pretty difficult.
Gotcha.
I mean, but once
Math
you
and formulas and
yeah, like it's
shit like that. Yeah.
once you memorize the formula,
Right.
I mean, like you have a calculator,
Yeah. It's,
and
I'm
and
sure once you
like
do it over and over and over again, like you'll be able to do some of that stuff in your head
yeah.
pretty
Oh,
easily.
the first week was learning all this stuff. The second week was actual practice.
Mm.
Like that's almost like the second week was like the lab portion of it.
Okay.
So like we're doing practice tests for the rules of the road. Then we're pulling out these massive charts and we're doing all of it on our own and the instructor's checking on it and doing all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So by the time we get to the test, it is it's basic rudimentary stuff if you're
Yeah.
paying attention in the class
Sure.
and you have a decent enough grasp of it.
So when you're working, do you get are you gone for like a week at a time
I
or?
can be. I can
Oh,
be. So
okay.
so this boat we do more day charters.
No.
So like I have a charter tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only 4 hours. They get on the boat at 1 and they get off the boat at 5. So within those 4 hours, they own the boat.
Yeah.
I can be gone for a while. So like when I did the Caribbean season, outside of that 1 week home, I was gone for 3.5 months.
Oh, okay.
And then like if we go to the Bahamas, usually yeah, like I'm gone for a week or so.
Gotcha.
And then when you get on these bigger boats, these mass like the 300 footers,
Mm-hmm.
usually you're gone for like 10 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. And like those boats, they go over like they cross the Atlantic, they cross like some of them
Everything.
like cross the Pacific.
Yeah.
It is full on all over the world. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm not on those boats because I don't want to be all over the world. I have a girlfriend. I intend on growing and starting a family.
Right.
So being gone for almost a year, like it's almost like a deployment at this
Yeah, I
point.
was saying you're in the
You know,
military basically.
yeah,
You're on
it's yeah,
deployment. Yep.
it isn't feasible
Yeah.
for me and for my goals.
Right.
And so like that's where like I go like at the beginning like it's difficult to plan this type of stuff because I can be told like, oh, just so you know, like we just booked a charter for
Yeah.
that goes over this weekend. Like it makes it hard.
Sure.
But once you get to the point like you have the experience and you have the contacts, all I need to do is if I really want days off and they're on charter, usually what I have to do is I have to contact another mate
Yeah.
and then
Pretty
and
much
then
like
I
cover yourself, cover your
yeah, and
shift. Yeah.
the only difference is I have to pay them out of my pocket because
Gotcha.
I'm on salary. So like
Right.
so
Right.
like
That makes
my
sense.
boss is still paying me.
Sure.
So I'm just going to pay them.
Right.
And then they're on the boat and then I'm off.
That's pretty cool though.
So
It's a pretty cool job that is very unusual.
no,
Most people don't have something like
I
that where they can travel and be on a cool
absolutely.
boat. It's yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's my office. That's my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I
You've got some good views out there, bro.
oh, I love it and I think my girlfriend is probably 2 rooms over. So when all the bachelorette parties go by, right? That's cool too. Like I go, hey, like you like my boat? It's a big boat,
Oh shit.
but
Yeah,
it's awesome.
that's cool.
I've been blessed to live a life where I can, do awesome hobbies like airsoft.
Right.
I was able to play sports growing up and now I'm able to call a multi-million dollar yacht my office,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
right?
Well, you seem very humble. You seem very grounded, So that's good. That's important.
Yeah, I'm glad you use those words. Some people will call me toxic, will
Yeah,
call
well,
me
you
disrespectful.
did. You called it because you said stay toxic.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I no, like
Mhm.
I'm very much aware that I do that for myself.
Yeah, sure. It's
You
fun.
know,
Well, it's like these podcasts too. Like I don't want every single this is why I have a new guest on every time. I don't want to be routine, boring like and sometimes we talk shit, okay? Like because who wants to sit around I'm a smart ass, okay? Like I've always been like that. It's since I was a teenager, okay? I'm very sarcastic and and yeah, so I'm not always over on here like, "Oh, airsoft is so wonderful. The airsoft community is great." Like, bro, like it gets yeah, I just it's fun to talk shit sometimes. It's fun to
oh
be like
yeah,
that. It's
oh
fun.
yeah.
But
Like if I'm at like a weekend op or something, and there's some CO who thinks like they're actually like in charge of me, right? I
yeah,
mean, yeah, like
yeah, fun.
I have, and I'll tell them off. I'm like, be quiet.
Yeah,
There was one time, like this is in play, like this is like their fair game. CO was yelling at me, so I friendly fired him. Right? in front of everyone,
Yeah.
everyone. And the funny part is he didn't call it, so I called him out on it. Like I'm like, dude, like you gotta like call that hit. So I got him to call it,
Oh shit.
and then and then the guys around him medicked him, and I ran off.
You're like, oh, get out of
Yep.
here.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to get firing squad in airsoft.
So,
So
well, let's wrap it up, man. It's been great talking with you.
yeah, no,
I'm glad we
it is
got to finally meet and yeah, and get on here, man. It's pretty cool.
no,
Is
it
there
is.
is there anyone you want to shout out?
Like just like all of the Florida guys, right? Call sign Tonka,
Dude,
one of my
Tonka.
dude. Like if you haven't had him on here, like you
I
got to try
did.
to get him on here.
I had him
He's
on.
I I love him, right?
Yeah,
I
he's
love
awesome.
Seth to death.
I had him
I've
on a long time ago. It's over 2 years ago,
yeah,
and he was really reluctant to be on. But I met him in person at GTI, and then
and like you
I
were able
had
to
him
get him
on.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Tonka's very much does everything he can to separate it, right? And it's like once you meet him, then it's like all right, like all the doors are open,
Yeah.
right? So like him, Abin Airsoft, Mini Dom, all the Florida guys, the Airsoft Junkies, Sam, Sal, Brandon Thurby, every single one of them. I really recommend you maybe try to get Brandon Thurby on here. I can send you
I don't
his
think I met
his
him. I
his
mean, I met
Instagram.
Sal and them, or maybe
Yeah,
I met him and I didn't know it.
he's a tech at Airsoft Junkies, and he was
Oh,
with Specna for like a short time.
oh, dude,
Like if you want
that's
tech
big
talk,
news right now.
yeah,
Freaking
and
the exclusive rights with Evic. You hear about that?
yeah, I can't talk too much on it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Uh,
I'm not. I don't want to go into that right now, but it's getting to be. It looks like it's getting to be a pretty hot topic.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so like yeah, like tech talk,
Okay.
like especially with like MTWs,
Yeah.
he he can build you the best fucking MTW in the world.
Nice.
He is that good at it. I send all my guns to him personally, even when he
Okay.
wasn't working at Junkies anymore. While I was working at Junkies, I was sending him
Yeah.
my stuff,
I
or
gotta
we would
see.
convince him to like come into the store for like an hour, and like I'd be like, hey man, like can you work on this real quick?
Yeah.
So he's an awesome guy.
Is he
Who
the
else?
Thurbinator
Yes,
on Instagram? I am following him. Okay.
yeah, he is phenomenal. And I mean, yeah, like just like everyone out
Okay.
there, and then anyone who's watching this who recognizes me from like Airsoft Depot, I am in this sport because of them. I am in everyone who recognizes me like in the sport. I play the sport because of you guys.
Yeah.
It is a great community. I love it. Right, the hat. Go Raid Industries, a guy based out of Canada. He makes really cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it genuinely is, the pleasure is all mine to be able to play the sport and meet people like yourself, right, being able to talk to a lot of people
Yeah.
and make lifelong friendships, right? Like it sounds a little bit sad to say, but like I can count on a single hand my best friends from stuff outside of airsoft.
Hmm.
Airsoft, that number triples
Yeah.
because it's great people in it.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
But
Awesome.
like
Yeah. And a
again,
shout. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say like again, like thanks for having me on. Right, this was a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah, man.
I will be happy to come on at any point. There's an op coming up in January. If it goes the way I think it's gonna go, you might want to have me on after that because
That'd be good.
yeah, yeah, because it might be airing out a lot of shit covered sheets.
Oh, good. I need some of that. I like drama sometimes. Okay. I don't like promoting it all the time, but
No,
I like
it's
drama.
it.
Everyone loves drama sometimes.
I as a representative of like Airsoft Junkies and everything,
Sure.
I I do what I can to not down talk
No.
others,
Right.
right? To do any of that stuff because the last thing I want people to think is, oh, like you're just talking down your competition,
Right.
right? I have elevated plenty of competition, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there are so many great options out there, and but when things go a certain way, and you see things that are quite obviously just unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to voice your concern, and most people understand criticism. Some people don't.
Right.
But yeah,
Well,
but
thank you,
I
man.
yeah
Thank you
yeah
for being
no
on, and I appreciate it. And yeah, it's great talking with you. Shout out to the sponsors of this podcast again, Skirmish and Jackal Tactical. Go to those links in the description of every video. And also, as a reminder, this podcast gets put on every podcast platform out there. I'm talking, bro, it's a lot. I go to my website, go to trifectaairsoft.com, go to it's right on the front page. You can click on it where it'll take you to all the links of where we're at. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere, iHeartRadio. Okay. If you just want to listen while you're driving instead of watching this, we're on every audio podcast platform out there. So, anyway, so man, I appreciate it. You have a good night, man.
you too.